Hey friends, if you got this part of the video, you got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night, March 15th. Mike, if you would throw in the chat room that we're live, that would be awesome. Live and a sound check. If you're watching this part of the video any other time than 8 p.m. Central on the 15th of March, this date, Mike, this day is kind of weird for me because it's the 15th, but it's of March and not of April. So I always, I think no, I still got another month. You're just...
Is this important day? No, we're good. We still have time.
Oh, I still got 30 days before those taxes are due. You've done yours. I have not done mine yet. So I need to buckle down. And I had planned to get to taxes after MVP Summit anyways. It was just kind of one of those things. So I need to sit down this weekend, catch up the budget, and at least get the taxes started on that. But if you got this part of the video, you just caught the recorded version. If you're not listening live, we want to welcome those guys. I see Chris out there as well as Mark Robson. And if you are joining us live, welcome. But if you're not, just hang around. We're going to get started in 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5. Just depends how we go. So you can fast forward 5 minutes, go grab a beer, pop some popcorn, get a soda, something along those lines. Whatever Mike's got a monster beer tonight. Maybe that should be the pre-show conversation from here on out.
Beer we're drinking?
Is what beer we're drinking.
Well, I don't even know if they can get this outside of Nebraska. That's the question. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you got there? What do you drinking?
So this is a let's see if we can get it to focus. Cross Strain is the brand. They're kind of a new brewery out of Nebraska, out of Omaha, La Vista.
La Vista, yeah.
Actually, but this beer is Supa Juice, like super, but Supa, S-U-P-A juice. It's a double IPA, India Pale Ale. Ooh, it's my favorite beer I've ever tried. And actually, the first time I tried it was a week ago. It was a recommendation from a guy at Hy-Vee, which is our local grocery store, who has a great selection of local beers. And it's become one of my favorites. So I grabbed it, and they only sell it in the pint. So this is a pint glass. They don't sell it in a 6-pack or any other way. So their 6-pack, usually I go with their Fairy Nectar, which I've started to see on tap at some of the local bars here. But this one is my new favorite.
It's Cross Strain, just down from pint 9, just down from where I go to church. So
go to church and then go grab a nice beer.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Cross Strain is open Sundays, I think noon to 4, or something like that. And we start church at 4:30. So kind of thinking maybe a 3 o'clock, grab some pizza. We'll get some Pizza West brought in. Have a little, what would be lunch and dinner? A linner?
Linner. Yeah, we always called it linner.
Yeah. So do a afternoon Sunday pizza and beer, go to church, then a light snack for dinner or something, smoke some cigars, something like that.
That is a great Sunday. You just planned out my Sunday right there.
I'm all for it.
The hard part is, I think the reason they sell it is it's a 9.4% beer, which usually when you have a high percent beer, it's like a dark, which you're really into is those dark beers.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is kind of that double IPA, but it almost tastes fruity, which is why, you're into those strawberry beers and the blueberry beers.
I like them sweeter.
This one almost has a sweet taste. I won't say a fruit taste, but a little sweeter, thicker taste to it with that double IPA, which is nice. It's not as bitter as a usual double IPA is.
And what is the bitter index on that? Do you know?
It is.
Does it say?
94.
Oh, that's up there, man.
I know it's up there, but the weird part is it's masked by that fruitiness. So Mark says looks hoppy, and by the label you would think very hoppy.
Yeah,
and it is.
Yeah,
being a double IPA, but a little bit tamed down.
Yeah. Well, so tonight is the last of the blueberry maple stouts that I picked up.
And see, that's like a perfect combination of a darker beer, but also has a little bit of fruitiness in it.
Little maple, a little syrup. You can kind of taste the syrup in there, and then the sweet blueberry. It's pretty nice. It's probably the last dark I'll buy of the winter. Start switching over into spring, kind of spring light,
right?
More fruity. This is. No, it is Saurtuck Brewing Company. Let's see what are they out of? No, Swybrook. Sorry, no, that's not right at all. Hold on, having trouble. The light isn't good for reading down here at the moment. I've got the lights in the wrong direction, but yeah, it's a Hy-Vee. It's a Hy-Vee. Have you have you checked when you buy at Hy-Vee? Have you checked to see if they got a beer card? That they'll keep track of the 6-packs. So Shadow Lake Town Center, they'll give you a beer card, and you buy 12 6-packs, and your 13th one is free.
Any 6-pack?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So check in next time you're at Hy-Vee. Say, hey, are you guys doing any kind of rewards? Yeah.
Hy-Vee in Omaha, at least for people who aren't from here, has the best selection of, I think, beer, maybe hard alcohol. They have a great wine selection as well. Yeah. We can find usually.
They do. No, and they actually carry
have that Olive Garden wine.
Spirits.
My wife's a real big fan of the Olive Garden branded wine, which isn't technically labeled Olive Garden, but it's the same brand, and she loves that.
Does she get a red blend, or does she go white?
Oh man, what is it? I can't even remember. No, I think it's a Moscato there. Actually, they have a Moscato that's really good. Yeah, and I'm not usually a sweet wine guy, but it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mark says he had a Black Forest cherry stout. That sounds good. This summer,
120 IBU beer. That is high.
That is high. That's bitter beer face, my friend.
Yeah, that is.
That is bitter beer face. Yikes. Yeah, that'll do it. That's for sure. All right, we'll give it an extra minute. Other Jim, Ken, Chris, Mark, good to see you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. Why is it? I guess maybe no, that's not right. It was Stephen Hawking, Stephen, or was he an Steven?
Asking a bad guy.
I don't know. Gonna talk a little bit about.
Surprised I graduated law school and
I just know how to lawyer.
Boss tells me that all the time. It's surprising you can't spell.
You're like, look, I don't need to learn how to spell to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, and she would disagree. She says you definitely do.
Yikes. Well, we won't talk about that live.
Apparently, do and don't have very different meanings when you're drafting a contract.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they opposites?
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently? Okay.
Apparently you can't leave off the NT or NO. Means very different things when it comes to payment on a contract.
Do you have any games on the line at the moment? Are you sweating anything right now? It's March Madness.
Nothing close. No, because I have Houston and they're up by 11. Oh, wow. Stephen F. Austin is up by 3 on Texas Tech, but it's the entire second half is still being played.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a 14-3. Those 14-3, 11-6s, those matchups are always the fun upsets you can pick. So I picked one correctly. I picked Chicago Loyola, which was 11 over Miami.
Oh, wow.
And they won on a last-second 3 at the buzzer. It was the best ending to a game. We were all watching it. My work people were at a place watching the game, and it was everyone.
Yeah. Usually those teams can't win the next one, when it's
That's true. Yep. I think I actually have them losing the next round, but
yeah, well, you're in good.
It's always fun to grab those first round.
You got to pick a few. Is it 11-5 or is it 10-5? I can never. What's the 11? 12-5. 12-5.
12-5.
Okay.
Yep. So 12-5 is like Davidson, Kentucky is actually a close game also. They have a little over 2 minutes left, and Davidson is down by 4 to Kentucky. So that's actually a close game too.
Hey, Gavin, welcome. Yeah, it'd been kind of fun. We had it on in a conference room. They had done a meatball cook-off challenge at work today.
Were you a judge? I would hope
we had 6 different. No, actually, I came late, so I just ate the meatballs.
That works too.
Somebody brought wings. I was like, didn't you get the memo? This is meatball day. So they had 6 different crock pots full of meatballs, and then you would taste and vote on each one. And so by the time I got there, they had announced the winner. So I just went right to the winning.
And it was good.
It was super delicious. You know how sometimes, and Mark Robson can probably attest to this. Sometimes some people cook meatballs and they over sauce them, so it's just all sauce, right? It's all, and these were just lightly sauced, but kind of caramelized on the bottom. So he had cooked them but cooked them enough on the bottom so that it kind of caramelized them. And then he'd sprinkled some stuff on top, and I just fork mouth. That's that. No, didn't overthink it. I just had a pretty good meatball. So it was pretty delicious, but it's awesome when you just walk in a room. It's pretty awesome when you just walk in the room and like, hey, you want meatballs? Mm-hmm. Yes. When would you ever say no? Like you just, yes to meatballs.
You want $100?
No. I was just thinking the other day, not interested. But they had a case of beer. on the table as well.
Oh,
It was
really?
noon.
Nice.
It was noon, and
It
last
was
year
noon, so it was a little early.
it was a little early, but we did it anyways.
Right.
Last year, I actually I had a couple beers with him. This year, I was like, nah, guys, I got to work this afternoon. I have a few meetings I need to be at, so I probably shouldn't be
Right.
partaking. But we take March Madness seriously at Gallup. I just gonna say it. It's a serious deal. So everybody kind of rushes through Monday through Wednesday this week. They
like
work extra hours and try and
Mhm.
jam everything in. And then Thursday and Friday are pretty much mornings only.
Right.
And the afternoons are a little sketchy.
Yeah. Gavin and I are actually Twitter buddies. So
Oh, nice.
Gavin
Yeah,
gave me an extra life in HQ the other week. I appreciate that, Gavin. Gavin, you almost actually won me money. We had a pretty good streak going. I used your extra life, and we got to question 10. So we were still 2 off one night from the winners. But I appreciate the extra life, Gavin. That helped me out.
It's nice, Gavin. Thanks for coming out. Good to have you out. All right, let's kick this thing off, Mike. Let's see. Oh, I haven't even opened. Tough to do if I haven't opened my show notes. Got the notes open, but I don't
was gonna
have.
say you're in there.
Yeah, no, I don't have the intro open. It's been. Did we go last week? No, we had last week off because I was at the MVP summit.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
whenever I
feels
go
like
2 weeks,
forever, because we've done like this week on, week off for
Yeah.
2 weeks straight.
yeah,
It's been weird.
yes,
And it's like, are you podcasting? I'm like, I don't know. I think so.
yeah, we're on for the next couple weeks.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good. We are good on that. All right, let's see. March 15th, 347. All right, here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 347, recorded on March 15th, 2018. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Mike, amazing weather in Bellevue. I mean, I know Omaha is probably different. No, not so much, but
it's here. You know, we had winter, you had summer. No, it's been gorgeous. We had the
Miles.
partners out for our business partners out for a meeting. We actually got to go out on the balcony last night for an event, and I was like, oh man, being out on the balcony, it was gorgeous weather. It's been great.
Yeah, no, pretty awesome. We have a little ice and maybe coming tomorrow, so it'll for a day.
That, so
yeah, you might want to check the weather.
Okay.
Before you leave. Before you leave tomorrow, check the weather because we got a little snow and ice coming. But the weekend's supposed to be nice again, 40s and 50s, and so it'll be gone again, of course. And that's the beauty of Nebraska. If you don't like the weather, just wait a couple hours, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, of course, we post a show and we'll have some really good show notes this week. Or I'm actually ahead of it when we do this style of show. When it's Mike and I, we go through kind of a format. I do the show notes in advance, so really good show notes available for you. Posted out at theaverageguy.tv. Don't forget you can get the show on our mobile app if you want to do that. Download that from homegadgetgeeks.com, Android, iPhone, completely free. Best way to listen on the road. Many of you have done that. We appreciate you doing it as well. We thank LastPass for their sponsorship of that app, homegadgetgeeks.com. I mentioned the format for the next 2 weeks. Mike and I will be rolling through a format. I should say, before I dive into that, I should say we want to thank Rich Hay for coming on 2 weeks ago. If you didn't catch that, we kind of did a Windows 10 special. And so everything you need to know about Windows 10 and what's coming up. And of course, that will, we're not in the launch month yet. That'll probably launch in April. But lots of talk about what's coming. We've seen Patch Tuesday already. If you haven't patched your computers, you should. Lots of stuff going on, as well as on the Cyber Frontier side. We've been talking about Spectre and Meltdown, and you should maybe start checking your BIOS upgrades at this point. They weren't ready. They were ready. They weren't ready. It was breaking things. So I would be careful with those BIOS updates that are coming. Windows is certainly doing some things, but you want to be thinking about all those things. They're coming up, and so we thank Rich Hay for coming on. I got a chance, Mike. I was out. The reason we didn't do the show last week, I was out at the MVP Summit. For Microsoft, and got to hang out with Rich and of course Dave McCabe. Dave was my roomie, and we hung around each other all week, which was just awesome to spend a whole bunch of time with Dave McCabe. I wish someday you and I, maybe someday we'll get a chance to.
I was going to say we need that same sort of bonding moment that you guys had.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yes, we do. It'd be great. I think it'd be a ton of fun. We had a ton of fun with Dave. I'm going to cover some of that here in the show coming up, but. Appreciate you guys giving me a week off. Kind of nice to get out there, get out in Seattle. It was kind of a week of vacation for me. A ton of fun just to be on the Microsoft campus, and a ton of fun to just learn And we'll talk about a few things that I learned in the show. Mike, did you do anything spectacular on your week off? Did you go out and you crush anything last week?
No, I think if I remember right, last Thursday was good weather in Omaha, if I remember right. And we went on a long walk with the boys, took them down to the park. We have a park not too far. So as soon as it starts to get warm enough, Emmett, my oldest, just loves being outside. Like he looks outside and he goes to the window. He goes, no snow, because he loves playing in the snow. He loves playing without snow. So we got down to the park and just played outside. It was a good week off.
Oh, good. Thanks for letting me have the week off. Always kind of fun to kind of get rejuvenated. We actually at work started a new podcast, not new, but I started the 4th season of a podcast that we have been doing for 3 years. This is our 4th, and it's just kind of fun to get back in the groove. Theme Thursday is that podcast that I do. It's probably the most popular podcast I have right now, even including this one that we do for Gallup. Yeah, it does really, really well in the community.
And how long had it been since your last season ended?
Oh, see, the gal that I podcast with went on maternity leave, and so it had been 3 months.
Yeah,
and so there was a bunch of pent up demand. We had 30 in the chat room, 35 in the chat room this afternoon, and so tons of fun to have that back. So a really busy spring as we think about what's going on. But of course, we're here to talk about tech, and good to just kind of catch up with folks. Mike, as we look back over the last couple weeks, couple big events as we think of what's going on in the tech space, hard not to lead with the death of Stephen Hawking, right? Pioneer in the field of physics, did some amazing work, only being able to twitch his eye. I think that's the right. I mean, some of his most significant work done after he couldn't do anything. And I think, yes, he's brilliant. By the way, passed away on Einstein's birthday and on Pi Day, which is right. I mean, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Right. That would come about.
Brings a full circle.
We were kind of joking at work, like maybe he just held on, he kind of knew, and I just got to make it to Pi Day.
Right.
But March 14th, if you haven't caught on, March 14th, 3.14, that is International Pi Day. So Stephen Hawking passing away, I think a giant in the world of just nerdy tech. He did an interview with John Oliver and was able to be funny, even though he couldn't talk.
Right.
I mean, Mike, have you followed Stephen Hawking in his journey as you think about it? I mean, he's just been a big name out there, but has done a ton of funny stuff too. He's
been one of those, icons of exactly what you said, bridging the gap between science and actually making it relatable to people. You think of things like The Big Bang Theory TV show, where brought in a lot of Stephen Hawking. So those are more the instances where I was exposed to him and stuff like that. And you're right, his humor, his brilliance all kind of came to light in those sort of shows, which is what I appreciate about him.
Yeah, some of it, he had some stances in the religious communities not necessarily appreciated, and he had some definite stance on things that were controversial, but great. I mean, that's in a world we can debate those things.
Yep.
And so certainly sad in his passing, and just kind of think about what he did. I think certainly for people with disabilities, did amazing work to say, look, no matter what you have, you can do things. And here was a brilliant man trapped in his own body. Like his brain was still working, his body was not. And so I think his story of just overcoming, and his story of doing it regardless, and the technology that had to be built to kind of make him run, and literally moved everything with just the twitching of his eye.
And more amazing than that, even for those people, but for people like you and I, Jim, who gives us a better respect for people who we may see people and judge them based on how their body is performing and not have any idea how their brain is performing on the inside. So I think it had a big effect on people who didn't have disabilities, and how we relate to those people who do, and how we understand them, and how we relate to them, and how we communicate with them as a population. It's interesting.
Yeah, one of the things we've been thinking a lot about, and I say we, probably more me, have been thinking about, and when we think of students with autism, and there's both high functioning and low functioning. They're all on the spectrum in some way, but we have seen, and we continue to see, and I want to see more of, some of those students have an incredible gift for math, or they have an incredible gift for art, or for music, or for computer science, for programming, and I often don't think we're taking or have the systems in place to be able to take advantage of those gifts that they have, because they really have gifts. They're just hyper focused in an area, and
Savant
they'll
syndrome, yeah.
no right, and they'll be able to do far more than average guys like me in certain areas. They just need the right environments to be set up for them.
Right. If you want kind of a cool intro to it, watch The Good Doctor. It's kind of one of those popular shows. It's on TV right now with someone who has savant syndrome, a form of autism, and who is a doctor and had just graduated med school, but he relates to people in a different way. And obviously, he doesn't have that way to interact with people that's nice and comforting. He's very rational about things, and that's how he goes about things. But those sort of shows are kind of helping us understand how these people function, how they think. But just like you said, they are brilliant in these areas, and they can really help us further those areas of science or math or whatever it is that they've gotten into. And it's just how we connect with them and how we relate to them and how we make sure that we can let them get the most out of their brilliance, really.
Yeah. A lot of the people who listen to the show, you're in the car right now listening to this, or you got it on your earbuds and you're on a flight or something. Many of you, and I've heard from many of you are professionals who work in roles where you could actually make a difference in this area.
Very true.
And so, let me challenge you. I haven't solved the equation. I have yet to figure out how to make it work, but we have partnered with some organizations, or we're going to partner with some organizations here in the city of Omaha to try and see what is possible. And so it's not easy and it's not automatic, and you got to do some things to make it work. But let me challenge you in the city you're in, or in the influence you have. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody can do this, but if you're in a spot where you can have this influence where, people don't look like you, or they don't act like you, or they don't have all the skills you do, or they relate differently, or they're in a mechanical device. Oftentimes those folks have way more gifts to give than we give them credit for. And so let me encourage you to reach out and figure out ways to get them employed and figure out ways to get them involved. And Mike, I'm not talking about janitor jobs. That seems to be, that drives me nuts.
Yep.
When I'm like,
we're going to employ them, and we're going to give them these jobs. No,
right, go sweep floors or fold towels. That's not what I'm talking about. No. I mean, I'm some of them, and granted, some can't. Right? There's a spectrum there, and some can and some can't. But there are some who can, and they are brilliant. And we've got to figure out ways to make that happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're not bashing the people who are giving jobs to those who can only perform those functions. But we're saying there's a whole extra level above that is being it's untapped.
Right on. And I think we need to try harder. Exactly. I guess that's what I'm saying. Let's as a culture, as humanity, we've got to try harder to make that happen. So if you have any influence in those areas where you work, whatever, let me ask you to use your superpowers for good. When Shauna Dorsey was on here, we talked about that, using those superpowers that you have for good. Let's do more of that. So we certainly are sad as we think about the passing of Stephen Hawking, but certainly great good, and there's great good in all of us. And let me encourage you to do that as well. Mike, as we think also about in the news, we think about a Google and an Amazon battle that's going on. What's going on there?
Well, this is one that personally affects me. So I was kind of privy to put it in the notes. But so this has been going on since before the new year. We saw that Google announced that they were going to pull all the YouTube apps from all of the Amazon platforms. So when you think of like the Amazon Fire Stick, the Fire TV, all of those devices, Google said, well, we're not going to allow the YouTube app to be on there. And the reason for this battle is that Amazon does not sell Google products in their store and doesn't promote them and all that sort of stuff. So Google says, well, hey, if you're not going to sell our product, you don't get YouTube on your platform. And this is just an interesting, I wanted your take on this, because my take on this whole thing is I am someone who is very invested in the Amazon ecosystem. I have, besides the Amazon Echoes, I have a lot of Amazon Fire Sticks. I became addicted to them when I started traveling for my job 2 years ago. They were fantastic travel devices, and then they were so small and perfect, and I liked the interface that I started to buy them for most of the TVs in my home. And YouTube, for us, for my family, is one of the most used apps in our house. We watch a lot of our content comes from YouTube. Hannah has her people she watches. I have my people. There are people we watch together. It probably even outweighs Netflix and all of those. We watch YouTube a ton. So this was a big blow. They announced this earlier in December, and they said, By the end of December, the YouTube app will be pulled from Amazon. And sure enough, they stuck to it. We all thought, okay, they'll they'll come to an agreement, it'll be fine. They're not going to pull their app from a big player like Amazon, but they did. So they pulled the YouTube app, and ever since January 1, I think it was December 31st, they pulled the app. Ever since then, there is a workaround. If you try and actually launch YouTube on an Amazon device, it says, "Hey, do you want to like do this workaround where we have a browser and it's favorite, so it's linked to YouTube?" And surprisingly, it works really well. Like it is the same exact experience as it was. So I'm not too upset. I can still do it. But from Google's standpoint, this is where I'm trying to wonder what was the point of pulling it. So for YouTube, you got to think for Google and YouTube, they make money. The way YouTube makes money is off ad revenue. So the more people who are on the YouTube platform and watch YouTube videos, that is how they make money. So they are pulling out a platform from Amazon, from a lot of people who have Amazon devices, and it's spiteful. Google says, okay, we have enough money that we can do this because it only hurts them. Amazon's like, cool, people can use our browser and have the same exact experience. You're just being like, you are causing your viewers to have a worse experience. And that is kind of my problem with this whole thing is, so Google and YouTube are trying to prove a point by like sticking it to Amazon and not having it on their platform. They're only hurting their viewers. And so for people like me who are very loyal to YouTube and use YouTube for a lot of different aspects of our lives, for tutorials and just plain entertainment, it causes an extra hiccup in our life that we don't need, and it's not it's not proving the point they're trying to prove. So
Right.
maybe I'm missing something here, but
No,
this has been a
yeah.
very odd argument, and I'm very surprised that they haven't come to terms yet. I mean, we're in March, so this has been 3 months with the YouTube app not being supported. And this links up to a story we'll talk about later with something I'm being involved in, which is switching over from cable to YouTube TV. But I have to get all new devices because YouTube TV is a special app that is not supported through this browser workaround they currently have on Amazon. So I would have to buy all new devices to switch over to YouTube TV. So I'm just surprised by the
Yeah,
whole.
and that's the key, right? What you said right there, that last sentence that you said, I'm going to have to buy all new devices, right? This is really a spite issue. You said
It
that
is,
as well.
yeah.
These are now we're at the highest level. These are executives who make these decisions for these two companies at the highest level. Huge pride. Someone says, seriously, you're going to let, somebody at Google said to an executive, seriously, you're going to let Amazon push us around like that? Why, because you're right. It only benefits Google to be everywhere. And
It
yet,
does.
it's like, nope, we're not going to do it. We're not going to
And
support
it doesn't hurt Amazon to have YouTube say we're not going to be on your platform. It
Well,
hurts
it kind of does though, because what you just said, I'm going to have to buy new devices, and then I'm going to have to leave the Amazon ecosystem to use those devices, right? If you're
well,
going to switch.
but here's the thing. So I've decided that I'm not going to buy all new devices. I can use YouTube through the workaround, so that works. And actually, it's kind of a mute issue on my main TV because I use my Xbox now. I switched over to use my Xbox as the main thing. So this is only on my secondary TVs: the bedroom TV, the downstairs TV, and the guest room TV. And the outdoor TV. So on those devices, and I don't watch YouTube on those devices as often.
Right.
What it's come down to is they're preventing me from switching to YouTube TV because I don't want to buy all new devices. That's a $40 device I have to buy for every TV. And it defeats the whole purpose from switching from cable, where I have a cable box, and I'm annoyed by paying this rental fee for this cable box. And it's like, well, YouTube, I would love to switch. I hear YouTube TV is fantastic, but since you're in this spite with Amazon and you won't allow your app to be on there, I'm not going to buy all new devices. I'm not going to switch until that's possible. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting because Amazon's not hurting too bad from this. It's almost like Google's like, yeah, suck it, Amazon. Amazon's like, cool, bro. Like, we didn't really, it's your customers who are mad. We're not mad. Your customers are mad. And it's happening. If you look at all the forums and on Twitter, everyone is mad at Google and YouTube, not mad at Amazon, because Amazon has a right to not sell their devices. If they don't want to, they compete directly with Amazon. And to be honest, Amazon has a better product. With the Google Chromecast, you still have to have a secondary device. I still have to use my phone. The reason I choose to use a Amazon Fire Stick is because it's all in one. I don't have to have my phone with me. It has a remote, very much like a Roku. So even if I were to switch platforms, I would switch to a Roku stick. I would not be switching to a Chromecast. just because I don't like having to use my phone all the time.
It's just spite, and we saw this with Microsoft and Apple, and we've seen this between because Apple, Amazon won't sell Apple products on their site,
Right.
and so we see these kinds of things.
But Apple, we're used to that from Apple. Apple is like, we're going to play in our own little playground and no one else is invited. Like, they're very bad sharers. They are the kids that no one likes to play with in kindergarten. That is who Apple is. Google, we've gotten used to them being the people that we can access their stuff anywhere.
Right.
That's the problem. It's like, whoa, well, I can get your stuff on any device. You're telling me that now you have this problem with Amazon? Like, why now?
It is a little weird. It kind of makes you wonder if there's an executive in the integrations division who, you know, maybe not all the way at the top, but, you know, maybe 3 or 4 rungs down, who is just going to, right? Because that's an integration decision, right? That's
or that they have future products coming out that are going to compete with Amazon Fire TV and Fire Stick. Because right now they don't. Chromecast is a very different device. It's not a standalone device. It's much cheaper. It's different. So are they going to come out with more of a device that you plug into your TV and you can control with a remote, which I think we've now seen, and I'd be interested to see what our audience thinks, but I think that a remote in a device is the preferred choice now. I think people would rather not have to use their phone every time they want to access something. And maybe I'm wrong, but for us, that's worked a lot better.
Yeah.
Because you use a media PC. You don't
I do. And I do.
You
and I
have a dedicated device that doesn't need your phone.
No, we go in and, you know, Sarah opens up a browser if she wants to use YouTube, you know, or we could use, you know, I could use the Plex server to get some of those things done, or I could use the, you know, anyway, not the Plex server, but the Plex device. I'm sorry, the NVIDIA device. There we go. The NVIDIA Shield. I had problems all day coming up with the right names. I think I'm thinking too far ahead, but the NVIDIA Shield would work for that. And of course, that's an Android based OS. And so I could do, you know, do YouTube there. We haven't made that shift. Sarah is still very Windows Media centric. Okay. We're watching, if she misses a show on Media Center, she'll go back and watch it at cbs.com or whatever. Hulu, you know, we've done some Hulu and some of those things. Netflix, she just finds it, right? From that perspective. Right. She just goes and finds it. I am with you in that I have moved most of my viewing. 95% is YouTube.
Right.
And I've seen those ads for that.
A big deal for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the ads for the YouTube service, and, you know, they're like cut cable. You can get local and sports.
$35 a month.
Yeah.
My cable bill is $217 a month. So for $217, that is my cable, internet, and home security. And that is at the intro 2 years locked in rate. So that is like, once we're done with the 2 years, that thing's going to go up to $350 a month. So if I eliminate everything and just keep internet, it's going to be $135 all in, not including, because we already pay for it. We have Netflix, Hulu, and all them because we use them as well. So take those out because we're already paying for those. It's going to be $100 savings switching over. So the reason this is so interesting, though, is because Google, they must have a hardware play in the future, because right now what makes them money is eyeballs. So why would they care what device you use? And they let their services be on Apple, which Apple locks down their ecosystem, and they're not selling Google products because they're smart and they know we care about eyeballs and eyeballs on the ads. That's all that matters to them. So I don't know. I just don't know what their play is. I don't know why they're frustrating their fans and their users just to stick it to Amazon when it's really not sticking it to Amazon in the end. It's just been an interesting story to follow.
Yeah.
From a
and I don't think it has.
This is one of those Harvard business cases. This is going to be in the case books years from now. I guarantee it, because it is interesting.
I don't think it's really stuck it to him, but there's some principles in there. You know?
But that's the funny part. Like, we're sticking it to him. No, you're really not. You're just hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself. Yeah.
You make money on eyeballs. Why not have as many eyeballs as you can without making people go through a workaround? No, right on. Yeah.
I will throw in, you know, since we're both YouTube users, if you use YouTube on iPhone or Android, there's a YouTube app, which actually is pretty good. It used to kind of be bad. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube off my phone. So I get on the treadmill at work and I just watch a YouTube video. Or we have a bike, you know, we have a stationary bike, and I can find YouTube videos of people biking in different cities. and I put
Oh,
that on
nice.
and I watch that while I'm stationary biking,
Yeah.
right?
The app is
And
my number one used app on my phone.
no,
Easily.
it's great. They most recently released, I couldn't believe this didn't exist before. It showed up on my phone the other day. You want to use dark mode? I was like, it wasn't there
Yeah,
before.
I didn't know about this until I just looked over. So fill us in.
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. This is like a 2 second story. Dark mode is available in the apps now. Like I would have thought that would have been there forever, but no, dark mode is just now available. It really is nice when you're in my scenario where I'm on the treadmill or I'm on the bike. It's more pleasing for me to look at a dark screen or at least a dark background that is a big bright one. So I've it's on. So if you're using those apps, pop out there and switch over if you like dark mode on your phone. It's just one of those two. To be honest with you, at church, it's a little bit better too when you're looking. It's not so bright. I'm just saying. So it's
Sarah's not down here, but
it's just
if she
it's
was,
just a church.
yeah.
So, anyways, if you're using YouTube and brand new dark mode, this and then one more thing on YouTube when we think about if Mike and I, of course, in the post show, we'll do a bunch of crypto conversation. We got a bunch of stuff to update you on. But if you haven't seen John Oliver's explanation
Yes.
of cryptocurrency, it is maybe the funniest, most accurate according to me. I don't know that I watch it and I watched it with Sarah and I watched it a couple times and that guy, man, that guy does his homework. He had the buzzwords right. He had the jokes right. He had the he had all the funny stuff right. It really nails it. And so if you're struggling, if your friends are struggling to understand this cryptocurrency stuff, and he's, you know what, I think he's really fair with it in the conversation as well. It's 25 minutes, something like that, 23 minutes, and really goes through it. Super funny if you like John Oliver's style of humor. I'd recommend it. I'll have a link to it in the show notes if you want to go out there and take a peek at it. But or you can just go or head out to YouTube and Google John Oliver cryptocurrency. It'll take you right to it. Mike, did you get a chance to see that?
I saw like the first minute of it, and the
Yeah.
first minute got taken away. So I need to watch the whole thing.
It's
Yeah, but it was
super.
great for the first minute.
It's super funny. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Mike, there's been a new style when we think about gaming. There's been a couple games, and you've been into this, and I haven't. So I'm going to let you take this, but there's been a couple games that have just kind of gone nuts recently. You've been in on it. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the reason these games have gone nuts is because of this new way of selling video games. So if you guys are into video games at all, or if you have kids who are into video games, you have heard of one of these two: PUBG, which is Player Unknown Battlegrounds, or Fortnite. And you have heard of one of these two games if you are even remotely involved with the gaming community. But the interesting part about these two games is the way that they have marketed and sold their games. So the traditional way of selling a video game is, okay, new game comes out. We sell it both in physical copy in the stores. You can go to Target, Walmart, get the game, or we sell it online for $60. You go, you pay 60, and that's the normal price, $60, get the game, you have it, you go from there. And even after you've paid that $60 for certain games, especially the sport games nowadays, sport games are getting really bad at this. If you want to be really good at the game, you have to pay extra. So it's like if you want the recruiting package to get that 6-star recruit on your NBA game, you need to pay like the $20 recruiting package. So it's almost like this pay to play is what I call it style game. And let this kind of remind you of kind of if you play mobile games at all, let's think of Clash of Clans or any of those really popular mobile games. Paying money advances you faster in the game and allows you to be better at the game. So the more you pay, the better you are at the game. So this was kind of a new trend, right? You could either, and so with mobile games, it was either we paid 5, 10, 20, $30 for a game, or it was free and you had to pay to play. So there was this free game, it got you addicted, and by day 2, you already needed to spend some money to get better at it. Well, these new two games, so PUBG and Fortnite, completely changed the game with how these games are sold. And I think it's for the better. So the way these two games came out, they said, okay, we're coming out with this new style of game. Both of these games are the same style. It's called a battle royale format. And we don't need to get into the format. The format's not important, but it's this new style of game that everyone is interested in. It's a style of game that has not been out before. So there's already an interest in this game. And they said, okay, well, we're developing this game and we don't have it ready yet. We can't put this into the stores and charge $60 for it. So what are we going to do? Well, let's call it beta and let's put it out there for free. and players can play it, and they can play it whether they're on PC, Xbox, PS4, mobile, wherever they're at. We'll put it out there as beta, and that way, if we call it beta, all the bugs they can't get mad at us for. And every week we'll just release new updates and play. It'll almost be like a fun part of the game. Well, so this really took on. So the reason this really succeeded was because these games were, number one, a new interesting style of game, and number two, they were free. So, Jim, if you and I are both on Xbox, or you and I are both on any platform, and I hear about this game, and let's say you're a gamer too and I'm a gamer, I say, Jim, and well, let's pretend you and I are 14 years old with no money. I say, Jim, have you heard about Fortnite? And you're like, no, I haven't heard about Fortnite. I'm like, well, it's a sweet game. Tonight when you get home, you should get it. And you're like, well, I don't have $60. Jim, it's free. You're like, okay, well, I'll play. So there was all of a sudden this viral, like, hey, this is free. It doesn't matter what you pay for it. And so it grew, right? You have millions and millions of users trying this new style of game. And then the way they made money was they said, okay, gamers already kind of nerdy. And if you kind of like this style of game, you'll probably pay $5-10 for a new skin, which a new skin is like the way you look in the game. You don't want to look generic because that's like what a noob looks like. So you want to look like something else. And mind you, this has no effect. So in stark contrast to pay to play, where the more money you pay, the better you are, this literally just changes the way you look. This has nothing to do with how good you are at the game. This does not give you new guns. This does not give you anything. This is literally just how you look in the game. And people are paying way more than $60 per game for these sort of skins. And for the people who are paying that type of money, $120, $200 for skins, makes up for the people who just get the game and don't pay anything. So this new style, the reason it's succeeding right now is because the free factor of it gets everyone in. And the fact that the people who are paying a ton of money to look different aren't any better than you when you start out makes it even more viral. So Clash of Clans, the reason Clash of Clans, that style doesn't work is because, oh, well, I get in and yeah, it's free, but the guy who pays $75 every month for more gems is like, I can't even, like, it's just stupid because I get beat by him and I can't win because he's that much better. Well, in this style of game, it doesn't matter. They only look better. And so this has been a different style of selling games. And these are the first two games to try this new style. And it's been massively successful. I love it, first of all, because I am a player of both of these games. It was the reason I got my wife into gaming. She hates video games, and I got her own Xbox, and we play Fortnite together because it's free, it's fun. She thinks like the whole style of this way of selling is interesting. Yeah. So
have you paid anything so far?
No, I have
so you haven't upgraded. You haven't done any skin.
I'm one of the freeloaders. Like, I don't really care what I look like. It's a free game. Yeah. They had this special where if you had Amazon Prime and you had a Twitch account, you could link those two and you got a free outfit. So I have like the free outfit from having an Amazon Prime account. So no, I have not paid a thing, but I'm going to. I'll tell you, there's a sweet outfit that's like out there. I'm like, oh, I'll pay $20 for that. Like, this game has provided my wife and I with 2 months of free entertainment. I'll definitely throw them some money because I've thrown games money. I've thrown games $60 where I've played the game for a day and I'm like, that wasn't really worth it. Like, I'll be done. So this new style of selling, I think, is going to be the way of the future. And the labeling of beta was the interesting part to me because if you follow these games at all, if you are a player of Fortnite or PUBG, you know that things break all the time. You will try and log in and it'll be like, oh, the servers are down again. But that's just expected. Like, no, can't play the game. The servers are down because it's beta. You log onto the Twitter like, yeah, our servers are down, guys. We'll get them back up in a little bit. And you're like, okay, it's beta.
Right.
And no other time has that been acceptable in gaming.
Right.
Have you been able to?
Oh, you'd be pissed if you spent $60 and the servers were done.
Like, hey, the server, I can't play it all. And right now it's just like, they're doing their best. Like, I didn't pay anything for this game. So
do they plan to charge, do you think? Are they gonna
so that's comes out of beta? So this was my question was, I don't think they're ever gonna remove that beta label. Like, why would you? At this point, you're making money hand over fist. More I would love to see the financials of them compared to a successful franchise like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is the most successful franchise in gaming. I have the new Call of Duty. I paid $60 for it. I paid even $60 on top of that for the year-long, you get all the map packs. So I thought that was going to be the game of the year. And then Fortnite came out and I was like, wait, this is free. And I haven't played Call of Duty since. So I would love to see the financial. I think Fortnite is making money faster than Call of Duty. Not more, because the It hasn't gotten to that level yet. The velocity hasn't increased yet. But the way they did their marketing and having it be free, every single kid who doesn't have money telling his friend that he can play it because it's free, that is the best way to get a game to be popular. Because your gaming demographic, the majority of it is I would say sub 18, where like they might not have a job. Mom and dad need to buy their games for them. And hey, if it's free and I can download it, even better.
Yeah. And I can get in on a cheaper
videos
outfit,
that happen,
right?
Twitch streamers that happen. It just all of a sudden just ramps. And the most streamed game right now, I think, on Twitch is Fortnite and PUBG. Those are the two most streamed games on those.
I was going to ask, has that made its way over to the viewing side? Totally. And it's probably made some PUBG, super fans or superstars, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you have them. You know that Ninja and Muselk is like the most popular guys on YouTube for Fortnite. These guys went from 0 to over 5 million subs in the last few months just because they're great entertainers and they play this game really well. And it's a free game that when it's free, everyone can get into it. That's just the difference right there is everyone can get into it. There's no barrier to entry. And when you eliminate that barrier, the numbers go up. And then these type of people, they like every other game producer has forgot for the past 5 to 10 years that people are willing to pay if they love the product. Like get us addicted to the product and we're willing to pay. Now pay to play, they were dabbling it like, oh, people love Clash of Clans. They'll pay for the gems. You're right, they will. But you created some sort of barrier now between your pro players and your new free players.
Yeah.
Whereas this model has completely changed that, where it's everyone is willing to pay to look cool because they love your product and they're willing to throw you some money.
Yeah.
So they've really changed the game.
Sarah ran into that problem. She was gaming. She games on her phone way more than I do. I'm 0, so that's easy to do. I just don't game on my phone. But she was gaming on her phone for a while. And she was in one of those Clash of Clans games, and she loved the community. There were, they would come together. They would have these, coordinated attacks. They would, we're going to get together at 4:00 in the Central Time Zone, and we're going to go on these raids. We're going to do that stuff. Couple things. One, it got really, really political inside their clans, and so there was some bad blood in the groups. People wouldn't show up or wouldn't do what they said, or they would complain a lot, or some of those kinds of things. So that kind of grinded on her. And two, what you said is that you could just buy success. So people would just dump money, and there always are, Mike. We've seen this on the crypto side, right? When you think about a product like Burst, which you and I have been mining on, the more you buy, the more you win. And you can, and so, there will always be that guy. And maybe I was that guy because I have 100 terabytes of storage sitting here. So maybe I'm that guy. I've never been that way before.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
but you can throw a bunch of money at it and be more successful. Right. And in gaming, in business, that's one thing. In gaming, that gets a little old,
It does. And so the old school of this, back when I played Xbox in high school, you bought, let's say NCAA like 14, and you paid $60 and you had it. You had the game. Like if you wanted to be the best of that game, you just practiced and played and you were the best. But now with NBA 2K18, no, if you can be the best and then you can buy like booster packs that make you even better. And it's crazy. Like everything can be purchased. If you want to be better, just purchase. So this game is a breath of fresh air. The way they sell this, where buying stuff does not make you better. Buying stuff supports the platform, allows them to keep developing more. I really hope they don't go away from it. I hope they keep this style. I think it works. I think they're seeing it works. They were patient. Clash of Clans was not patient. They were like, we need to make as much money as fast as we can, because in mobile, they're trends, and once the trend dies, you're dead. Whereas these new model games said, no, you don't need to be impatient. You can be patient. The more people you have on your platform that are loyal to you, that love your game, that love your decisions that you're making, that aren't screwing them over, they're just going to, they'll throw you $20-$30 at a time. And every 2 weeks, they'll probably forget what they bought the costume the last 2 weeks, and they'll probably throw you 25 more bucks and buy the new uniform, whatever it is. And they've done that. They have these seasons where they have a daily special where you can only get a certain costume for 24 hours. So everyone knows, like, oh, you got the Wednesday on this day package because you bought it. And it's become kind of this cool new thing
exclusive
now. But it doesn't make them any better or worse at the game.
But you know why they went to the pay for performance, right? Because there were people who
It made them a shit ton
played
of
the
money in a short
games.
period of
Well,
time.
they did, but there were people who played the game and practice and practice and practice and became really good and unbeatable. And then there were people who were like, "Oh, I can never practice that much to be that good." And of course, they saw that as an opportunity. Like, hey, we'll sell you. You know, we'll sell you something that will
Totally.
help you be
That's a good
better
point.
than those guys. And so that's a
There are way
need
more
too.
people who are willing to pay than there are people who are willing to practice and be good at a game.
Oh yeah. Well,
And you see the
some of us have to
skill.
work, Uyghur.
Well, but I also see like, okay, well, I see they spend a lot of time being good at this game. Let them be good.
Mhm.
Anyone can have a lot of money, but like to practice the game, if you want to be good at that specific game, because the problem with the pay to play is that that applies to every single pay to play game across the board. If you have money, you can play, you can be good at every game. If you want to practice, you better practice at every single individual game. So in the long term, it works out better for these people to make them practice and play their specific game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a big issue that affects our audience, but it's just a fun new style of marketing that I think you can apply to a lot of different areas besides gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. No, right on. I think it's interesting when these things shift. You don't see them coming, and then they shift pretty quickly, and then you're like, oh, hey, there's a new sheriff in town, or hey, there's a new opportunity here, or
Right.
like, oh, this is actually a fundamental shift in the way we think about technology. And so, you know, it's probably going to shift that way for a while.
And a stale meme actually brought up a great point in the chat room is that this whole new model makes it so that the developers really have to listen to the community. Because if the community isn't happy with something the developers did, that payment stream just stops. You stop buying the packs and they don't have any money anymore. So it really, and it has, if you look at the development cycle of Fortnite, every update has been a response to something that the community either liked or didn't like from the past. It makes it first of all, it makes it a really fun back and forth. Develops you and I talk about in the cryptocurrency space. We love the community, how the community between the developers and the users is key to success. Well, in Fortnite, PUBG, same sort of thing. They've had success and failures based on their relationship with their community because we are paying for this and we can stop paying for this. We didn't just buy this one time and pay a bunch of money for it. We can stop your money stream now if we want to. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's a good response. And that even too runs its course. You'll get factions of customers and then they'll divide on an issue and then they'll battle each other over that. And it'll become so divisive that the devs and where you do one and you piss off half of them, or you do it the other way and you piss off the other half, and then it creates bad will, and then that's kind of the beginning of the swirling end.
And they don't have your money already. Like in the beginning, they would like, well, we don't care. We already have your money from buying the game. Now it's like, oh shoot, which side is going to win? Because we better make one of them happy. Because our revenue stream depends on it.
Well, it's the drawback to getting popular, and it just runs its course. It is so hard to stay on top and, you know, just continue to get hit after hit after hit. And some do it better than others, but it is difficult. It's not easy. And a single thing oftentimes can dethrone you. One wrong mistake, one wrong direction can kind of dethrone you. And then people are like, nah, not interested anymore.
Well, and we'll see where this goes because this is very easy to do in a new style game. We mentioned that this is Battle Royale format is new. The reason the sport games had to start going to pay to play was because, okay, FIFA came out in like 90. There was FIFA 90. Now they're on FIFA 2018. They have to do a new thing every year. How are they going to convince you to pay another $60 every year? So their revenue stream started going down because people are like, well, I have 14 and 14 was good enough. And I don't need to buy 15, 16, 17, or 18. So Battle Royale format, just like you said, they're going to be like, well, you know, we have 2018 model, which is great. So in 3 years, it's going to be, well, the 2021 model, we don't really need it. We're not going to start paying for skins. We've been paying for those for 3 years. So this model might not be sustainable, but it's new and refreshing and nice to see.
Yeah. Well, interesting. I've heard a lot about it. I don't game, so I just haven't. And I just,
if you can get on Fortnite,
listen, dude, I don't need another thing to do.
You and I don't need another thing to talk about.
No, it's just there's so many things already to do. Before the show, we were talking a little bit about March Madness, and this year I chose to stay out of the brackets. I was just like, I can't. I'm kind of heads down on crypto, and I don't need another thing to be checking all the time. And when I'm in it, I'm in it. Like, and I'm checking it all the time. Refresh, 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 refresh. Trying to see, oh, who's going to win, who's going to lose. I mean, like right now, right? There's a upset in the making, and so you just start watching those things all the time. And gaming for me is that thing. I just don't, I have found between crypto and what I watch on YouTube, and I've been watching a bunch of crypto people on YouTube. We'll talk a little bit about this in the post show as we talk about it. That's good enough, man. And then a job. That's
it became Hannah and I's thing. That was so I don't game until I'm allowed to. That sounds really bad. It sounds like she's controlling, but she's not. But it comes down to I have my boys, I have work, just like you said, and I have enough things that take me away. But it became this thing of like, okay, so at night after the boys go to bed, what do Hannah and I do? We usually watch shows. We ran out of shows. I said, hey, there's this fun thing called Fortnite. We tried it, so that's the only reason we've kind of stayed in the game.
Yeah.
I was shocked. So here was the turning point. Hannah's on the other day, we were on YouTube, and we were just going through the stuff that she likes that I like. She's like, hey, who's that guy you watched that plays Fortnite? Can we watch that? I'm like, game. She wanted to watch. She didn't want to play it. She wanted to watch someone else play it on YouTube. Awesome. I said, I have one. And I told, and she was like, oh, shut up. I was like, you just asked if you could watch someone play Fortnite on YouTube. Awesome. It was game over at that point.
Hannah's great. I can hear her. Fantastic. I can hear her saying that too.
Right.
She's pretty tough, Mike. Hannah's pretty tough. She brings the nails. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, good for you guys. It's fun that you found you kind of found those. I had a moment like that myself this last week. Sarah and I were out shopping, and I'm trying to remember where we were at. Maybe it was at Walmart or something like that. And she says to me, in our next house, we're going to have a Nest thermostat, right?
And you're
like, what? Yeah, mind blown. I was like, what did you just say? And so, never, it was just one of those moments where you're like, oh man, well, yes, I think, like, okay. And so we just recently found out too, you can now train the Amazon devices for voice. So it can tell who's who in the house. You have to go through some training, and we haven't done that.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So check your app. I think you have to enable it on the app. You got to say some things and do some stuff. And I haven't gone all the way through it yet, but I was talking about this. She's like, oh, that'll be really cool. The other thing on those devices, we didn't put this in the show notes, but they've also enabled, you go into the app, you can enable it to listen after you're done asking it a question. So you say, hey, Amazon device, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And of course, she'll pop in and tell you the weather. For 5 seconds, the blue ring will continue to spin, and you can ask another question without having to say, the wake word, right?
And what does she call that? Because I just asked her a question, actually right before the show, and she said, "Hey, do you want to activate this new mode called blank mode, where I respond with a sound instead of a full response to things?" Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Honestly, it was right before the show, and I was walking away from her, and I didn't hear what she said. I said, sure, activate it. But so we'll have to Google that and see what it is. But it's that same sort of concept where she's trying to shorten the amount of time that you have a conversation with her by only responding with a responsive sound. So if you say something like turn off a light and she acknowledges that, instead of saying okay, she just like plays a sound and it's done. It's no longer a long drawn out process.
Mm-hmm.
Follow-up mode. There we go.
Follow-up mode.
Yeah.
So if you can go back in there, you can enable that option and train it for your voice as well.
Just come out because this was the first. We use this feature every day, and she just responded tonight with that response for the first time. Or it might be a slow rollout because I'd never heard that before.
Gavin says in the chat room, you missed the next house hint and only heard the Nest. So no, I know we're moving. Like we've talked about this many times.
You missed the main point of this conversation, Jim. You heard Nest and got distracted.
I did. I'm like, yeah, anything. I'll do anything.
Gavin, I've heard Jim talk about moving for like the last 2 years, and he hasn't moved. So
I'm dragging my feet.
I still don't know if it's actually happening.
I'm dragging. Well, I said the other day, I said, when you're ready, just pick the house and we'll make this thing happen.
Come out west by us. Then we could be neighbors.
So that'd be great. It's a long way back to Gallup. That's the only problem.
Is it that much further than where you are right now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm 15 minutes right now. So
Okay.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it was really cool. So tonight I tried that out on the device where I asked it a question and then you just keep asking it questions. So you don't have to re-enable, you don't have to use the wake word all the time. So getting smarter, some interesting things coming up with Amazon. If you haven't checked out the app, you might want to go back and try
Can
some
you
of
do
those skills.
multiple things like so for adding things to a list? The thing Hannah and I struggle with is we're making a grocery list and she wants to tell her like 5 different items in a row.
I
Can you
don't
do
think
that
you can
yet?
do it in a row. I think you would say add cat litter to the list, and
Add
she would
blank
say
to
I've
list,
added
blank
cat
to,
litter,
okay.
and then you would say add paper to the list, add
And maybe
milk to
that's
the
where
list.
follow-up mode comes in where I'll say add cat litter, dunk, add blank,
Mm,
dunk, and she won't
yes.
say, yes, I've added to the list, and she'll just follow up with a sound. I'm guessing that's where that comes into play.
Yeah, I would imagine. Tony says in chat room, you don't realize how much crap you have until you move. I know.
That is so true.
I've started looking at some of this stuff and I'm like, oh, we got to get rid of a lot of stuff before we go. You just collect junk. Just the tech stuff alone is ridiculous.
Yeah. I started
Just
selling it. It's great.
just I know. I'm not good at selling stuff. I need to get better. I need to get better at that for sure. We let's hold. You and I are both going to make a move for our backups.
Yeah.
But let's hold that to next week because
Okay.
we're running short on time. We got some other things I want to talk about, and then we'll go into some crypto conversation. So if you're gonna come on next week, Mike and I are kind of making some shifts and some moves in our backup. Some of it for me has to go with the Moro data guys we're on, and I'm going to make a shift with those
And that's
guys.
where mine
So
started as well. So it
yeah,
all started from that conversation.
yeah. So we'll cover that next week. Mike, last week spent the week in Seattle, which is always great. Dave McCabe, tons of fun hanging out with him. A good time. There's nothing like being on the Microsoft campus to make a magical week. They have, God, they just make it so great for us. They do so many great things. The summit is awesome. You get great, lots of great learning. One of the things I learned last week. So there's been a lot of discussions around S mode in Windows. We talked a little bit about that 2 weeks ago when Rich was on. At the time, Microsoft, if you bought a Windows PC and it was in S mode, right? That's that locked down. You can only use apps that are out of the store. It's not very functional, to be honest. You can't get Chrome browser on there. Talk about issues there, right? See, Microsoft and Chrome, right?
Yep.
There you go, right? Although there's for different reasons. During the summit, typically I've always said, they always say at Microsoft, they always say, okay, what we're about to tell you is NDA. You can't tell anybody until
Really?
Yeah, they'll say that all the
You
time.
didn't sign anything, did you?
Oh yeah, I've signed NDA agreements with them. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Never mind.
So they say
Okay.
that, but no. But most of the time, it's not true. Like most of the time, they're just telling us public stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I've walked away from some of those things going like, I could have just got all this online. They'll have a team come in and talk to us, and it's all public information, anyways. They actually told us something that's NDA. What's really cool is it's already been released, so I can tell you guys. So many of you have read this already, but if you do buy a PC in the future, in its Windows 10 and S mode, you can upgrade to Pro no matter what. Right now, any version for free, which is pretty cool.
Wow,
they were hinting
huge.
that was going to be a $50 upgrade.
Pro, not just home.
To Pro, yeah, no, to Pro, free, any version. So actually, Windows 10 S is Windows 10 Pro. It's just Windows 10 Pro in S mode, and then you're basically flipping a switch in the registry and it's enabling everything. Now you can install apps on it and you can do what typically most of us do today. So why this matters for those folks that are listening today, because chances are somebody in your family is going to buy a PC and they're going to buy it. It's going to be cheap and it's going to be in S mode, and you're going to want to upgrade them to Pro. You probably are. Now,
they're going to have no idea they bought an S mode.
They probably will, but they probably
would not. So
yeah, okay, yeah.
The ones
Well,
that are buying Windows PCs at the cheap end would be like, "Hey, it was cheap, great. Why can't I install Chrome?" That'll be my first call. My first text would be like, "Why can't I install Chrome?" Actually, that'll be the first call.
No, right, and then they'll be like, "Oh," and you're like, "Okay, we need to get you out of S mode, right, and upgrade to Pro." Literally takes 30 seconds. It's super fast. Yeah, it just flips the switch and boom, you're in and you're on. So yeah, friends don't let friends buy S mode.
Yes, but now they might, because it's free, but you get Pro
Yeah, you get Pro for free if you want to move to it.
You're okay
Where
with
that
the
may be
hardware,
helpful.
get Pro for free.
And where that may be helpful. My mom doesn't know the difference between Chrome and Firefox and Edge. She doesn't.
Right.
She logs into one browser to check her email. Literally, that's all she does. I might want to put her on S mode because that will protect her. She's downloaded viruses and installed things she shouldn't have done. And I really want to lock her down. And for me, that's a perfect scenario. Now today, I can't take her from Pro to S mode. That doesn't work today. That's really hard to do. There'd have to jump through some hoops to make that happen. I don't think it'll be too long before Microsoft will make that happen. So I could lock her back down into S mode.
Yeah.
Right. Again, only store apps. There's some limitations on it that way. So that was pretty cool. So they told us that like on Tuesday, I want to say, and then Throt and those guys broke that story later on. I think Wednesday or Thursday, Microsoft broke it, and it was public then at that point. And so it's pretty cool. Again, I'm always super skeptical on the NDA stuff because I'm like, you guys, come on, you're just saying that like it makes us feel important, but they actually did give us something, and I thought that was because of
NDA is very difficult.
I know, no, I hear you.
That's the
Although they did have at the end of the summit, somebody got booted because they had leaked some info in the past, and they were asked to leave the program.
But like, woo, like you got booted. Like that's my point. Like enforcing it, it's not enforcing it. That's just saying like you're out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they might not get access to this information they can't probably Google anyway.
Wait, true. No, there's some benefits to being an MVP. There's some licensing benefits and some software that I get access to.
The program.
Out. Yeah. Okay. Shut off. Yeah. Sorry, you don't get access to that stuff anymore.
Yep.
They are, by the way, really trying to grow. We heard from Donna Sakar, and they are really trying to grow the Insider program. And I'm a Windows Insider MVP, a little bit different. Anybody can sign up for the Windows Insider program, gets you access. I'm
part of that.
Yeah, and you can. By the way, if you're in there, you should be submitting feedback. They are really listening. We had 2 sessions and met a whole bunch of people that all they do is read feedback. And so if you think it's not going anywhere, you should submit feedback into the feedback hub. So if you're running Windows 10, you're not signed up for the Insider program, do it. And if you want to submit feedback, they're watching it. It's really cool. Feedback Hub's pretty powerful.
They've heard from me on the Xbox because one of the biggest complaints is that on Plex, actually, there's the title box. There's this tiny like probably 70% opacity box that has the title in it that just stays on top of whatever you're watching. And Plex is like, hey, it's you being on the Insider ring on Xbox and we can't control it. So they've heard from me, but yes, the hub is great. And actually do a lot of cool things. You get a lot of cool access and they're great about issuing surveys. You get to take a lot of like, okay, we issued this change. What did you think about the sound difference you heard in X, Y, and Z? So kind of a cool process. I've enjoyed it on Xbox. I don't use a Windows PC personally outside of work enough to use it, but for the Xbox, great program. Fantastic. I really like it.
Yeah, if you're doing that and you want to give feedback anyway.
Now though, I want the benefits. Like I've been
well, get in there. You got to do a little more than that, Mike. We can get some benefits. You have to have a podcast. No, I don't know what you do. Yeah. But certainly they're looking for your feedback, and so jump in the feedback hub. They're also looking for your feedback in the Office area. There's Office Insiders as well, and so if you're an Office Power user, you can sign up for that program.
You're not an insider for everything, only for specific areas.
Yeah, you'd sign up for Windows or Office, and there's some specialties in those, and you can sign up for. I think eventually, someday, in the big scheme of things, the Office and Windows Insider program will be one big thing. I think that might be NDA that I just broke. I don't know, but I don't think that's such a big deal. They will probably merge those two together, or at least have them work closer, just because all that stuff works so closely together today. But they are, like I said, they're definitely interested. We actually had the Skype team come in, and one of their senior engineers, and they're kind of their, a person who does the same thing for Skype that I do for Gallup, which is kind of an a community manager, right? I manage the enthusiasts in the market. She came in super high energy. It was awesome. Ellen is her name. She's actually on Twitter. And if you go out there and I think search for Ellen and Skype, if you have any questions on Skype, you can tweet her. they're listening. They actually, I don't know if you've been following where Skype has been going, but for a while, it was getting a little weird at Skype. There were these squiggly lines and emojis were taking over, and it was kind of like, where are we going? And they're like, we heard you hated that. And so it may be one of those things, they heard it, and then they started pulling back. So have you noticed that Skype is getting less of those things? Well, they heard you, which is pretty cool. Mike, you were saying my video is getting a little. I think it's on your end because you've been getting fuzzy on
Have
me.
I? Okay, it keeps going blurry on my end. You do, and so I'm like, okay.
I don't know. Maybe we should ask the chat room. Has Mike been clearer, or have I been clearer?
Yeah, because Jim's been going blurry for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Chris says out in the chat room that he's a Windows Insider. Awesome. Good deal. Get out there, get in the feedback hub, get some things submitted. It's pretty cool if you want to help them out in that way. So one of the really cool things, Mike, too, is when I was talking to him, I said, hey, you guys have an awesome opportunity to really help podcasters. Like a lot of podcasters use Skype, and we have to buy these programs called Pamela or Skype e-recorder, or we jump all these hoops. If you guys did that and made that available for like $5 a month, I bet you'd get a bunch of, and it was really good quality. And she said to me,
enterprise users who would use something like GoToMeeting or WebEx, and all they want to do is record a one-way interaction. Oh man, talk about saving enterprise users a lot of money. If I can do that in Skype, there are a lot of times where we don't even have any viewers. We just want to record the session for people.
Yeah. Now Skype for Business, which used to be Link, actually has that feature built into it. And so you're like,
so for our enterprise, registered investment advisors, broker dealers have a lot of influence on what you can use and what you can't use. And Skype integration is actually still hotly debated in the BD broker dealer area. So for us, it's like still like, oh, come on, like really, it's a big issue.
Well, I said, you guys got this in Skype for Business, which is going to be turning into Teams, right? That'll be the new Teams, Skype for Teams offering. She's like, yeah, I know. And this was cool. She said, we've also looked at Zencaster, which is, if you know the podcasting space, right? Zencaster is one of those programs. And we've been looking at their features to see what we can do. Now, no promises. They didn't say they're going to develop anything. There's no future development line. They're not saying they're going to do anything. Let me be really, really clear about that. But it was just a huge benefit to sit down with one of them and say, hey, have you guys thought about this? And I'm sure they have. And then here, and they didn't think about it, because sometimes you give company feedback and they're like, oh, that's great feedback. Like, you can always tell, like, that's great feedback. I'll write that down. And you're like, and I've even done that myself. You're like, that's going to go nowhere. But the fact that she said, oh yeah, we've been looking at, we did a little look at Zencaster. I am like, oh, that's the right word.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding. You get the
head. That is what I want you to mimic features from.
No, that's the right answer. So that's pretty cool. Where that comes in, of course, for the average user is, I would love to see that, just that consumer and that the business version just merge, so it's really one Skype, and that we would get Skype for Teams. I think there's been an announcement recently that next year or later in this year, eventually we're going to get some functionality where you can get people outside your domain to be guests on your domain through Skype, which could be cool. There's some great features there as well. They're not part of your domain, but they can take advantage of some of those things. Messaging.
Can track it for compliance reasons. That's great. So like when I was at KPMG, Skype for Business was everything. We used that for all communication. But when I tried to add my buddy who was outside of the organization we were chatting about same sort of stuff, wasn't allowed. Obviously, you couldn't allow them. And I can understand that now. I've switched to a smaller company who is trying to switch to Skype for Business. Again, I told you there's the broker dealer, all that regulation issues. But on the compliance side of things, it's interesting because how do you track? And do you have their permission to track if everyone in your organization has the ability to add a third party, even if they're another Skype for Business user? What are those compliance issues? Do you have the ability to track those conversations if you need to?
Yeah.
organizations like ours need to, which surprised me. KPMG, I would have thought would have this like, okay, they're like much more restricted, but obviously not. If you're in this space, in investment advisor space, much more restricted, and they're actually late to the game to Skype for Business.
Yeah. And there's some cases where I want to start a team at Gallup on Skype where we have some communication. We want to share some things, and I want to invite some outside folks in. Hey, we want you to come in and be able to be temporarily part of this team and give you access, and then we're going to revoke it from you when we're done.
Think of outside counsel. So I'm part of a legal team, and we use outside counsel all the time. We have lawyers who we trust. We use them for everything. We are day-to-day communicating with them at outside law firms across the country. It would be fantastic if we could integrate them into even SharePoint. So for our SharePoint, for our tasks, those sort of things, Skype for Business being a secondary. But yeah, integrating those sort of sources, if you can vet them and approve them through some sort of compliance process or workflow, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and actually that works on Teams. Chris is saying they allow it. They have open federation. There is some federation you can do between Skype for Business and Skype today. I can't believe we're having this business conversation, but there is federation built in between those two, so you can make those work. Every situation is a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. You can have that. And the last time I checked, it was audio only, though. They may have got the video working by now. So there is some of that federation that goes on. Yammer, of course, is an exception as well. I can have a Yammer instance running inside my environment, invite outside sources to it, and they don't have access to anything on the domain, just what's in the Yammer. We used Yammer that way for a long time. Eventually just made the jump to Facebook with those kinds of outside groups. A lot easier that way, you know?
Well, isn't the funny part you can call them on the phone and have an recorded conversation that's not tracked anywhere, but you can't have a conversation with them that could be tracked by your organization? Like you can, no, we want you to call them. Like we want this to be done that way. Whereas us in legal and compliance, we're like, no, if everyone could be on this platform, that would be fantastic. We would actually love it if you would all be over here where we could track you.
We could track everything.
But let me tell you, text messages are the bane of compliance compartment's existence. Like if you can text message your employee about something, that is like, oh man, your chief compliance officer is like crying in a corner because because you are texting business stuff over text.
Right. Right. Well, I still think, the enterprise communication space is still kind of iffy in a lot of ways. We're down to a handful of players. GoToMeeting and Cisco and
WebEx and GoToMeeting are the two leaders in that pack, and they're very close. Cisco just obviously having the relationship with the enterprise that GoToMeeting has not.
Right. But there's some great integration. I mean, if Microsoft could get this right and get Skype right, especially in the enterprise,
that could be it.
We're already
there.
It's just a matter of like, hey, look, we're already
SharePoint. We use 360. Yeah, everything is over there.
Yeah.
I can get it right. Game changer.
So some interesting things coming. Just a great week to be away. I always appreciate you guys giving me the week off and allowing me to hang out on the Microsoft campus. Mike, one more story. Crazy, awesome coffee. Of course, I was in Seattle, but on the Microsoft campus, they have these incredible coffee makers. You make it by the cup. It's got three bins of beans. And you just pick a little touch screen. You pick what size, what kind of coffee you want. And then you're like, brew it. And it brings the beans down, grinds them, brews it. I don't know how much brew it, super hot, super fast, drops it in the cup. It takes about a minute probably to get your cup of coffee, but it's fresh brewed and it is awesome. Dude, I drank about 8 gallons of coffee every day.
Don't have any creamer or any sugar near it. They're like, you don't ruin this experience.
Do not ruin this. I did. I like honey, and so I was putting honey in some other stuff.
Actually, I've never tried honey in my coffee.
Honey,
really?
It's a coffee olay. Yeah, it's super good. Yeah.
Okay, that might be a new. Okay, might try it.
Give it a try. Sweeten it up. Not like sugar. It's not that sweet. It's more of a honey flavor. It's just super good in coffee. Give that a try. So, it's super good. And it was just great to be on campus. So anyways, good to be back and appreciate you guys giving me the week off. Well, Mike and I'm going to bring the sucker in for a landing. We're going to go into some post show. Just a reminder that if you want to get access, we're pretty committed, Mike and I, to giving you updates every week in the post show on crypto. So we kind of turned the post show completely crypto. We got some great updates for you tonight. If you're listening live, you always get it for free. But if you want you can't make it live, it's just $1, like $1. I spend 3 times more of that on my coffee. Head over to the Patreon page, the average guy. Let's see, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. I think it's you there, or patreon.com/theaverageguy, something like that. There's a link on my front page at theaverageguy.tv. You can, or I think actually the easiest way is theaverageguy.tv/support. That's probably the easiest way to get it done. Head over there, sign up. I have a special offer just for folks to get the post show. $1 gets you, I think. No, maybe I don't. $1 gets you. I swear I had brain damage this week. I think I drank too much coffee.
Too much coffee at the
too much. I can't remember.
Too much good Seattle coffee. That'll do it to you. Seattle coffee's the best.
Super good.
Seattle's best.
Super, yeah. Which is owned by Starbucks. It's all Starbucks at the end of the day. $1, $1 gets you in. $1 a month. We have a whole bunch of shows out there, as well as I do have. If you want to join us on the burst mining, I am the faucet for you, so you can sign up, get in there, send me a note. I'll send you some free burst coin to get you started. I have a site for that called. Let's see, what is it called? burstfaucet.online. If you want to head over there as well. It's just a Facebook group, actually. Did I tell you that? Yeah.
No, I did not know you had your own domain for it.
I did. I bought it. It was $4.99 on Hover.
Well, I'll donate
pretty
to
cool.
it. I'll donate some burst to it if you need.
Well, okay, great. Thank you for doing that. We're good. I've only had one person take me up on this, so it's not like it's flowing out. Yeah.
I will be a co-venture for you in that faucet.
Cool.
I love supporting people who get into it.
And get involved, burstfaucet.online. That's the site.
Burst to it.
And we'll give you your first 3 was what you need. You need 2, but if you need 1, if you make a mistake. So if you join the wrong pool or something like that, I give you 3. Hey, let me know. I'll walk you through it. I'll get you started if you want to do burst with us. We're going to talk a bunch about that here in the post show. Head over there and get that done on Patreon. You can also contact me, Jim, at theaverageguy.tv. Of course, follow me on Twitter at @JCollison. Don't forget, join the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/theaverageguy is the way to get in there. We want to thank Maple Grove Partners, of course, for their sponsorship of the AverageGuy.tv platform, both web and media hosting. Powered by them. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. That's Christian. I haven't seen Christian 3 or 4 weeks, man. They are crushing him at Amazon. But he is keeping Maple Grove Partners up and running and doing a great job. If you want to get information, plans start as little as $10. MapleGrovePartners.com. Don't forget, you can listen to the program as well. Android and iPhone app, they're absolutely free. You can just download them. Just search for home, or just go to HomeGadgetGeeks.com, actually, and click on the links. Those will head you over to the store. You can download those apps there, and we thank LastPass for their sponsorship of that. They have been great partners to us, and we always appreciate them doing it. If you want to get a Home Gadget Geeks t-shirt, that's available for you. Still, we haven't taken them down. I said I was going to, but we didn't take them down. TheAverageGuy.tv/shirt gets you there as well. And then the newsletter will get back up and running now that I'm back. Head out to TheAverageGuy.tv/newsletter and get signed up for it. And there's 70 or so of you who have done that, and we appreciate your getting signed up. I always send out what's coming up. We are live 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We'll be back next Thursday, show just like this one. Mike and I will have some new stuff. We'll talk a little bit about our backup changes coming up in the next show. With that, we'll say goodnight, everybody. All right. Mark says he owes me some burst back. Don't worry about it, Mark.
I need to go to the restroom, so we can kick off this
go. I'll cover you. I'll cover you. It was that pint.
Yeah. Well, not yet.
Oh, okay. I got you. Mark, don't sweat the burst back. It's just not right now. It's worth a nickel. So, not too worried about it. Let me see what. Tony says we have a Starbucks machine like that in his physician's cafeteria at the hospital. Yeah, super good, man. I could not get enough of that coffee. I drink tons of coffee at work. I should probably drink a little bit less. So, welcome you to the post show. If you're catching this on Patreon at this point, thank you for your patronage to the post show. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Mike and I would actually love your feedback on this part of the show. We've been trying it out. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback, and it hasn't gotten a ton of listens, just to be honest. I think the ones who are interested stay around for the post show. But if you've got some feedback that's going on for this, of course, Mike and I'd love to hear that, what you're interested in. The kind of the goal here is to talk about all those things that we're just doing in crypto. It was sneaking its way into the regular show, and nobody actually complained, to be honest, but we just felt it would be better to move it into the post. So if you're listening to this through Patreon, either the audio or the video right now, and you got some feedback for us, Jim at theaverageguy.tv, love to hear from you. And Mike and I will continue to just provide post-show content that'll be crypto focused. Mike, I got a new box for Burst this week. I think Burst has probably been the most fun crypto mining. As the prices have been dropping, it doesn't feel so bad on Burst because it was never really that good to begin with, right? But been fun to do Burst mining.
Well, and it's one of those too where even when the prices are low, energy cost is near zero,
significantly
so
less. Yeah,
feels a lot better to continue mining with Burst even when crypto prices are low.
Yeah, well, with card prices still off the charts.
Off the charts. I mean, insanely off the charts right now.
You can let's say a 1080 is $1,000, right? Probably. Is that, do you think, if we're thinking the highest end NVIDIA, the highest end AMD card, dude, something is wrong with my brain. I can't. Today I was podcasting at Gallup and I could not remember the name of my daughter's university. I said University of Missouri State. I was just lost. It's Northwest Missouri State. Like I said that like 100 times, right? Anyways, yeah. So Mark says yes. 1080 Ti higher is higher. You could, so let's just say it's $1,000, right? You can get 300 is 2 8 terabyte drives. So 6 for 900, 1,200 would be 8, right? I can get 64 terabytes for that one video card, right? It's just ridiculous, right? Those 1080s or those 1060s that I bought at 215 had been 150 before that. They'd gone to 215. They've gone as high as 300. Remind me to tell you the story. I did put them online. Remind me to tell you that story. I put them on Facebook to sell them.
You did, and I never got an update. Okay,
I'll remind me and I'll tell you the story. So
sorry, podcast.
No. I just think for someone right now, if you wanted to get into this, now is the time. And I think because prices are so low, and also storage prices they've stayed cheap. It hasn't happened like it has for the GPUs, and I think you get more bang for your buck burst mining. So I just think burst mining right now is the way to go. If you were going to do any kind of mining, it's not profitable. I'm going to throw that out there. Like right now, it's not profitable.
Well, are we sure about that though?
Well, okay. The payoff's a year at this point, with burst being about 2 cents. Right?
But if we go to solo, we've discovered this new profitability calculation that I don't think we've taken into account
even
yet.
Even that, it's close. Like it's still a 10 or 12 month payoff right now based on burst.
At 2 cents?
At 2 cents, 2 or 3 cents.
2 cents, yes.
Yeah.
But this has been up before at 4 or 5 cents, so I think
it's been as high as 11 cents during.
So you're taking a worst case calculation a year, and I think that's totally yes, exactly.
I just want people to be
baseline.
Yeah,
go a year, like take a year, and I think you're totally right. Is there more? Yes. Yeah.
So it's you're gonna Mike, to your point, last month, let's just do the math really quick. So last month I hit the block 4 times. I was in a pool, and in those 4 times, each one of those times I hit 500 or 600 for that block, and then it was 50 or 60 every couple days after that. Whereas if I had just taken the 1,200 or 1,100, if I'd mined solo and hit the 1,100, it would have worked out actually a little bit for me, a little bit more than if I had been in the pool. That was the math, Mark. So as we're talking about the math for you, Mike, you'd hit 6. So that's even more. Like the more it blocks you hit, right?
And it's all luck. So here's the thing. I've been watching these calculations, and so I was in a pool, and Jim and I were both in pools, and I'm watching this. I hit a deadline of 1 minute and 10 seconds. That is phenomenal. That is the best. And someone else hit 56 seconds. Yeah. Like that just happened to me, my luck. Like there are blocks that will go for 10 minutes. And if you were below 10, you would have gotten the block. there is rarely anything that gets below a minute. And some guy hit 56 seconds on the block where I hit a minute and what did I just say? 6 seconds, something like that. I hit right above a minute and he was at 56 seconds or he was at 50 seconds. Sorry. And so that's where it literally comes down to total luck at that point.
Right. So Mark, he says he's only hit 2 so far. That's actually pretty good, Mark, for what you have 43 terabytes. Hitting it twice is pretty good.
For what? For how long though? Because I have 39 for a month. I've hit.
You hit it 6 in a month.
Yeah.
And Mark hit it twice. Right.
But he has more than me in terabytes. He has 43 terabytes.
This is where it doesn't make any sense. And you might this month. How many have you hit for March?
Oh, March alone?
Yeah.
3, I think already.
Okay, hold on. Let's make sure we get our numbers right. In the month of February, how many times?
Sorry, in the month of February. Well, I didn't have all my 39 up.
Right.
But we've talked about this. We need a full month of with your full amount up.
Right.
So I can tell you though right now because I have it.
So what I would do is I hit 4 in February, and I've hit 1 so far in March. Right. And so what I would do, Mark, if you're in this case with Burst, is run a month in a pool, the most competitive pool you can be in, and then add it up. And I did that for the month of February. Now I didn't have all my storage there either. So, but now March isn't looking that great, to be honest with you. But all that being said,
yes.
All that being said, total it for the month, switch over to solo, let it run for a month.
Or you don't even need it to. Because take your average of what you've got and you
you're right.
The full reward.
Right.
So take that's how I was in my calculation. So for my calculation, I've gotten 3 in the month of March. I hit on the 12th, I hit on the 9th, and I hit on the 1st of March. So I hit on the 1st. So to keep that in mind, it could have been 2, but like that 1 day difference. I also hit on the 28th of February. So I hit 2 in 1 day. So 28th and the 1st, I hit both of those days. So I've hit 3 in the month of March. So take your what you've gotten from your pool. And then, so if you go to Burst Nation, which is the website that Jim got me onto, which is great, you type in your address, you can see it on the right side. It's Forged Blocks. It tells you. And Jim, what actually shocks me is how fast the reward for a block is going down. If you were to get a block back on the 14th of February, it would have paid you 1,159. That was the reward for a block. Now it's 1,101.
Yeah, and it was 1,200 when we started. It was 1,200 and something when we started.
It's gotten down fast. That's 15 days, and it's gone down what did I just say? Yeah, 59. So I mean that's a big difference. But either way, so just take what you would have gotten from the block reward total. Right now it's 1,101. That's what you get for a full block reward, and just do that math.
Yeah. The other thing, so Canna just said he's never hit a deadline under an hour in almost 2 months. You cannot. How do you know that? Like, maybe he's
surprising to me, to be honest.
Yeah, and that being said, right? I think you gotta be in a pool first to know what you're making there, and then do the math, right? Get a solid month in, and if you hit a block, it kind of doesn't sound like you've hit a block at all. Thanks, Gavin.
If he hasn't been under an hour, he definitely hasn't.
Yeah. So the pool may be your best, like that may be your best place to go. And Mike, I'm going to be honest. Like, even though I hit 4 blocks in February, I don't know if that's a trend. Right? 1's a point, 2's a line, 3's a trend.
I think you should be more than that, though.
Well, should be and doing are two completely different things.
True,
now,
but 3 is what you hit in March. Or February.
Does that mean if it's luck, does that mean I'm going to hit 3 every month?
But even if you hit 2, you make more solo for you.
Well, no, that's not true. So last month in the pool, I made 4. Yeah. Last month in the pool, I made 4,000, right? Okay. 4,000 coin. Hitting 3 times.
Okay.
No, hitting 4 times. Right. Now, if I had, let's see, hold on. How was I going to phrase this? So, if I only hit 2 this month, there's no way the pool would have paid out more.
True, because if you hit 2, you'd be at 2,200. You know your payout from a solo. If you were solo and you hit 2, so you would need to hit 4.
Pool would have paid it's something like that, right? I need to hit between 3 and 4 to make it.
So for you, actually, it might. So for me, I wasn't making as much on the non-block hits. Like it was so low for me that me hitting made more than being in the. You are hitting so low every time that's actually making up. So this
Right.
is a case by case basis. Definitely.
No, totally. I think if you're going to get into burst, you need to go through this experience yourself. I know hardware is not supposed to matter. I know speed's not supposed to matter, but you need to test out your own stuff in your
And
own
it's easy to do the
environment.
math. That's the great part,
No,
right?
right on.
Take how
Right
many
on.
blocks you hit times that, but it will, and you can go look in Burst Nation. It'll tell you even the blocks that weren't paid you in full. It'll tell you what you could have gotten paid in full. And so that's how I did the math. I took, okay, it's a list of forge blocks on the right. Just add that all up and then see what you got paid from the pool. For someone like Jim has so much storage that he's making a lot on the blocks where he's not hitting. For me, I'm so low. I'm at 39 terabytes. I'm not making anything from blocks I'm not actually hitting. So for me, it makes more sense to make way more than double on the blocks you're hitting, and don't worry about the blocks you're not hitting because you're not making much there anyway.
And
Right?
had
That's
you
where this
come over
comes
to
down
my pool? Were you in the 80/20 pool with me,
No,
or
because no, definitely not. Because that would even been worse for me because I'm never below a 24 unless I'm pretty much almost hitting. Right? Like if I'm below a 24, I should almost be hitting.
now that's only only anecdotal because you can't physically watch every single deadline that you're making. You can sit there and watch them from time to time, right? But you don't know when you're sleeping, those deadlines come and go, and you could be hitting those mediocre deadlines that are gonna
If you're in the top of what you're owed per your pool, like, and it's really at that point comes down to what you said, where it's how much storage you have.
Right.
Like,
Ken uses Crete Miner, which gives you some stats based. You can use a miner that keeps track of all that stuff for you. So there is. He keeps trying to get me to switch over to that, and I'm too lazy.
I think there are certain points where
to switch over.
We talked about the 30 being the sweet point.
Yeah.
If you're at a sweet point and just do the math, wait for a month and do the math. I think sometimes it's better to be solo. Sometimes it's way better to be pool. Like you said, you might be better off. We don't know yet. We'll have to see the math.
Well, I'm solo now, and I probably will go solo till the end of the month and see. I got to get. So I was saying, I bought a PC from work for $60, which was really cool. Core i7, 16 gig of RAM, 250 gig SSD. That's pretty sweet. One of those benefits of working for Gallup, right? Which was pretty cool.
Totally.
It's I don't know, 3rd generation Core i7, so it's not the newest thing on the planet.
And just so you guys know, he doesn't share that benefit with anyone, even his co-host. I try to get on that.
Yeah, I really can't.
Don't try and send him a message like, "Hey, can I get on that deal?" It doesn't work. I try.
I can't resell them.
No.
So I put a new box in because I was I was using an AMD, a low power AMD box, and same setup except it had 16 gig of RAM and a pretty fast hard drive, but it was a 25-watt AMD chip, really low wattage, and I was maxing out the CPU every time I was doing a seek. So Burst sends a seek command, goes out to all the hard drives, pulls those numbers in, presents it to the block, and I was maxing out CPU every time. And I thought, and I was getting pretty slow read times. So when I upgraded to Core i7, put a new USB 3 card, PCI card in there to expand those out, I'm getting faster read times, and I'm not even, it's 25% of the CPU when it's reading. So I've got a new box that hasn't been completely stable yet. So I'm hesitant to say anything on my numbers. Certainly putting a new box in, it was down for about 8 hours while I was putting the box together and setting some things up, and some things weren't working and USB wasn't working right. It's, while I've done this experiment on putting 14 USB drives on a PC, it's not, let me tell you, Windows and all this other hardware, not necessarily the most inviting experience in the world, right?
Yeah.
So
there's not many use cases for that, so I guarantee you're one of the rare use cases for it. You'd be
So-
great to submit some feedback to the Windows Insider program.
there you go. Hey, USB. Like, who in the hell puts 14 drives on there? Mark is asking what kind of speed. So my read speed right now about 320. For those drives, for those 14, and a 15th is a 4-bay Mediasonic,
I'm right around
3 terabytes.
Way less drives, so it makes sense.
About 320. If it was internal and I was rated and there were some other things, I'm sure I could get that much faster. I'm not sure that Mark's saying he's averaging about 180. Mark, actually, I ran this thing through USB 2. I got like the 150s. And then I put the card in and I didn't have it installed right. And I didn't have the drivers enabled correctly. And I didn't have it in the PCIe 16 times 16 slot. And when I changed it, it doubled it. So it was like, oh, hey, pretty cool. I got that card in the fastest slot. There's no native USB 3 on this box. So it's old enough that it didn't come with USB 3. Yeah. I'm actually I'm going to try I'm buying a newer kind of USB 3 card that actually has capacitors on it that is made to help handle phones and all these equipment that we charge on it, right? Those need more voltage, and so rather than supplying external power, they're adding capacitors to this, and I'm going to give it a try. It's newer. I'm going to test it out.
So when you say newer, you mean newer brand?
Newer technology.
Oh.
Like this is a brand. The card I'm using in there is 4 years old, technology wise, right? It's been out. USB 3 has been out for 3-4 years. Right. Drivers are the same. I mean, they've been out a while, so I'm going to give that a try as well. See if I can get some speed in there. Kenneth saying Crete Miner tells you your best deadline at all the times best in the past 30 blocks. So that's cool. Crete Miner's cool because it writes that information to a website. You can go back and check it out. I'm not a big command line guy, and I didn't want to try it just yet. I've been busy too, so I haven't had time to sit down and figure things out. So new box.
And that being said, there is a math equation out there, Jim. We've talked about, there is an equation that we're missing, and there is an equation for what is the peak storage amount to get the best results, because there's always a chance that like your odds always like, okay, it's incremental past a certain point. Like, yes, you're getting better odds, but is it worth the price? Right. We just don't know that equation. Like that's the problem. And I don't think anyone, at least publicly, is releasing that equation to figure it out. But that is out there. We're not saying that doesn't exist. It's out there. We just don't know what it is.
Right.
Where you and I are not smart enough to figure out,
or just have the time. I mean, we figured out a ton of stuff on this.
But I think that's a very advanced calculation, and that requires a lot of data that we might not have access to.
Well, it's the 15th, and I'm going to measure for the next 2 weeks till the end of the month. In theory, I should hit twice between now and the end of the month, assuming it's stable, right? That's if I base my numbers on February, I should hit it at least twice.
At least. If it's not more than that, I'm betting there's something wrong.
Yeah. Well,
or else I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I've hit so many times in the last.
Yeah.
It's just weird, right? Well, I talked about that though. It's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is.
There's
weird.
No explanation for it.
I do know this. You'll hit more if you're stable. if you're having problems and it's going down and the miner's disconnecting.
You never know when you're going to hit. You might have just eliminated one of the times you're going to hit.
Right. And I put it into solo mode, and then it crashed. The miner crashed a couple times, and so it was one of those things where I'd just like to try and get it stable. And not mess around with it. I'll be honest with you. I bought that card. It'll be in Monday. If it's stable all weekend, I'm probably not going to screw with it. I'm probably just going to leave it. I think the timing is good enough. So a little burst update there.
I just logged in, and my miner had stopped at 4:55 today. So for the last 5 hours, I have been not mining.
Not mining at all.
There is a solo mining issue.
Is there a screen up? Did it? Because what I would
Blago Miner has closed program is the option.
Yeah,
Jim, you might be on something. There is an issue.
Could be a bug. I'm going to put that in the Windows feedback hub. I'm sure they'll get right on it. Yeah, I think there could be. Now, since I switched boxes, Mike, I have not had any trouble with. I'm using the Q Bundle 1.9 wallet that has a brand new installer, right? The 1.8 was still you ran the exe from the folder structure. 1.9 came with an installer, and so now you can run it, and it puts a icon on your desktop.
Really?
And so that may be, even though you've upgraded, there may be something in the new installer that's different. I don't know. Again, I don't know.
How would I have known unless you and I were talking about it to check back in and it had failed? And that was at 4, whatever this. So for the last 5 hours, I've been giving up the opportunity to win blocks.
So Mark's using a combo, and I am too, Mark, to be honest with you. Although now that I've moved over, I don't have any drives on the inside of this new box. Everything's outside of it, which makes it easy. It's three things to plug in. You remap the the drives in the plotter and you're done. You're back on. So I'll be kind of monitoring that through the weekend to kind of see how that goes. It's a lot of fun though. I did have a buddy purchase 2 drives that he added to the pool, and I'm paying him out about twice a month. We have a calculation that we do where I pay him out. It's not as fun now that his his hard drives are in the pool, because I'm afraid when things go down, you're like, oh crap,
I'm losing
like,
other people money.
Yeah. Now I'm losing opportunity for other people, so that's not as fun. But still great. I'm a little fearful of this solo thing you've talked me into. So we'll have to see. Like if I do all of March and I don't hit a block, I'm going back to the pool. I'm just telling you that.
Well, yeah. I mean that would just I would assume you would. The numbers right now tell us we should be solo.
No, totally. Yeah. I'm down with that. Storage, which we've talked a bunch about. I don't know if you've been following. They have a new executive chairman and interim CEO. So they lost.
You sent me this link, and I had no idea until you sent it to me.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Well, it's no surprise. Storage has had some leadership issues, and their CEO left. And none of these. It's so funny, Mike. You didn't necessarily live through the .com, but I did.
Right. I wasn't old enough to appreciate the .com.
In the .com era,
I didn't know what it was.
Oh my God! During the .com era, we saw, all you had to do was put .com at the end of your, So hey, I sell water, but I'm going to sell water.com, and I'm going to ICO. Or IPO, sorry. I'm going to IPO, and I'm going to raise billions because I now am water.com. That is literally how it went. Like there were billions of dollars being invested in IPOs.
Just because they were .com.
Just because they were .coms.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, I've got this. What are you guys going to do? What's your business model? We don't know. Now, did every single one of those bust? Well, most of them did, but Amazon didn't, and Microsoft didn't, and Google didn't. And, you can name a few. You could have
that actually had a business model.
Yeah. And you could have buried your head in the sand and said, well, crap. In 2000, when the whole thing crashed, you could have buried your head in the sand. I'm never going to invest again because these people are just crooks, right? Or you could look at it as a buying opportunity, put your money in where professionals are doing the investing and make a killing. Now, I'm not going to say I made a killing, but since 2000 and even making it through, we went backwards a little bit, 2008, 2009. Letting professionals handle some of that stuff has been a good call for Jim. Let's just say it that way.
Not that you're promoting my new career path or anything.
Right.
I love it.
I know. No, right on. And that's what you're doing right now, Mike. That's what you're working for, a company that does that, right?
Well, yeah. And to be perfectly honest, these guys were scared. And I mean, and it still is a scary market to be in because anyone can go online and open an account and start trading, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you now need the advice of a professional? I would argue yes. But there are many that would argue no, and you don't, and you can do this on your own. So this is very relatable to my new current career path.
You can, but most can't. Like most people are not good at day trading. They're not good at picking their own.
I agree. They're not good at it, but can they go and open an account online and do it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's awful.
Try. Are they good at it? That's where you say, you might not be the most qualified to make those decisions. Can you though? Yes, anyone can go open an account. You can have an account open in 2 seconds and start trading anytime you want.
And lose tons, by the way, especially if you borrow. Especially if you borrow.
I'm gonna let you be an advertiser. I'm going to talk to my guys. And you're going to be an advertiser.
Do not borrow. But that being said, we are at the early phases of this. And while it's crazy and none of it makes any sense, none of the stuff made sense 4 years ago either. When we were talking to Edward, wasn't 4 years ago, just 3 years ago, maybe not even that, maybe 2 years ago when Bitcoin was 250, and we were talking to Edward and we're like, none of this makes any sense. And yet it could have, and it did at the time. It did just rocket, and you profited from it. What I'm going to tell people today is like, look, here's the deal. If you're going to get in, you're going to get into these altcoins, even if you're going to get into Bitcoin, you got to be in it to just be in it. none of it makes any sense right now. Like
No.
there's no fundamentals. There's nothing along these lines that's like you're going to pick the winner. There's going to be a lot of failures. There's actually going to be a lot of mergers, I think, in this. Of the 1,500 coins that are out there, I think they're going to fork in. We saw Z Classic and Bitcoin. No, Z Classic and Bitcoin. Yeah. So they merged Z Classic into a Bitcoin fork. They put the two together and created Bitcoin Private. Z Classic is still around. But I don't think it'll be around very long. I think eventually I don't know what happens to coins when they die. I don't know what they do. They just turn off. How do you decommission a decentralized? It could be around forever. I haven't really thought about this.
There's
How
a
do
community
you
around it? They'll keep it alive.
just go to zero or something? But I think it'll merge. I think you just got to stay on top of this thing and have fun with it. It's speculative. It's a huge gamble, but have some fun with it. Get in here, buy some stuff, stay up with it. Do not let it consume you. Just have fun with it.
Like, you nailed it on two fronts. Don't let it consume you, number one. And number two, there's going to be a lot of mergers. I really hadn't thought about that until Jim brought it up. I think it was last week or maybe a few weeks ago. Jim started talking about the mergers, these people combining the value of a blockchain we started talking about. So one company doesn't have a blockchain. There is already a blockchain that maybe was used for a cryptocurrency that has failed and it's really cheap. And now they're going to buy it. Now, does that make the cryptocurrency go up? Okay, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about value. We're just talking about the value of a blockchain. Jim's brought up a lot of good points I haven't thought about is the value of these. So mergers is a very important process going forward is these coins will not just die. These the coins might die. The blockchain might not die. It might get bought out by someone else. So who knows where this is going to go? Jim, I think you've brought up a ton of very great points, though, to consider going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Pay attention if you buy a coin. You know, my son bought some. Yeah, just have fun with it. My son bought some Ethereum or mined some Ethereum something a year or two ago, and he just kind of forgot about it. And when I brought this up to him, he's like, "Oh, I think I got some Ethereum." And then he looked in, and it was worth a couple $100. Like it had been nothing. It's the same thing. Like I'm saying, like I turned my GPUs off last night because they were literally cranking about 75 cents a card. And you're like, oh, yikes. Right. And then 35 cents of that's power. And you're like, okay, well, okay, that's probably low enough. Right. Yeah. But then you start thinking about it and you're like, hey, wait a minute. There's some opportunities here. All the coins are down. It's buying numbers, not value. Remember, when you are mining, you're mining coin, not dollars, right? It's worth less.
Inflation at the current price, right?
Yeah, at the current price, that's what it is.
It's not doing the calculation, and this is how many you're mining.
Yeah,
which and could be in the future.
No, totally. And I was thinking on that all day. I'm like, should I have turned those off? Well, yeah, because I turn them off during the podcast, and so, but I'm going to turn them on from time to time, just kind of see where things are at, what things are doing. I think the market's. Oh, let me talk about that because that's a great story, dude. You know me. I have a hard time letting these things go. Like once I buy things, I didn't as a kid. I had no money. You
should see the private conversations we have about selling stuff. It's quite common.
Here's what I need to do. I need to give them to you. You sell them. Then give the money back.
Give them to me. You would hold them out. I'd grab them, and you would grip them and hold them and take them back. You'd be like, "Sorry, Mike, I can't."
No, I could. I could. If you sold them for me, I could do that. But
we can do that if you want.
So I put them on Facebook, and I'm kind of testing the market, because they've been astronomical in price.
Right.
So I put them on the market for $300. And the last time I did it was $350, and I brought it down to $300.
You got was hilarious.
Oh my god! So this guy sends
that's part of the story, but you got to tell it if it is.
Yeah. So this guy sends me a message. He's like, "Seriously, like $1,200? You didn't pay for that. You didn't pay $1,200 for those." And I go, "That's not the point. Like,
yeah, the point is what they're worth.
It doesn't matter what I paid for them." He's like, "They're used." I'm like, "Have you tried to buy a new one?" Like, so we're having this conversation. He goes, "Well, I'll give you $1,000." I said, and then he goes, "I like to trade. Do you want a 4K monitor? Do you want a couple Xboxes? Do you want you wanted to trade some stuff for?" I'm like, nah, I'm not really that interested, because I was really saying I really don't want to sell these. Like that's what I was saying. I really don't want to sell them. So he offers me $1,000, and I go $1,100. He goes, "It's not worth it." Like, well, then I'm like, you don't have to buy them, dude.
Right.
Right.
Sorry,
So
I'll
then
find someone who buys them for that.
so a few minutes later, he comes back and he's trying to, start trying to talk mining and stuff. He was just trying to work me.
Right.
He's just trying to work the price.
Smart. I mean,
no, right on. He wouldn't. I wasn't going to take 1,000, and he wasn't. I didn't necessarily know if I wanted to sell all four to the same person. I was just kind of hoping to find. What I was really hoping to find is some gamers who are pissed because they can't find those cards, and I actually probably would have come down in price a little bit for a gamer. Like,
the hard part is gamers aren't looking for 1060s.
No, right on. No, they're not. But they'll take them. Right, they'll take them. And
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I haven't had anybody offer.
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody offer.
Yeah.
So I let it out there for a while, and then said all 1060s. So Mark's asking me. So 4 1060s I put out for $1,200. He said 1,000. He was willing to pay 1,000, $250 each. Right. So at that point, that kind of set the baseline. Like, okay, they're probably at $250 right now. Then for those 1060s, that's probably the right price. So
yeah, things are only worth what people offer. If we can get that through people's head, it's not worth more if people aren't offering to pay more.
It's worth $0 because I didn't sell them.
Yeah, because you didn't sell them. Thank you. I appreciate that, because everyone's like, it's worth like that. Not if no one's offering to pay that. Jerk.
Right.
It's worth what people are willing to pay for it. So I hate that response from people. Well, they're worth more. If you respond to me, I'm waiting to see if people will pay more. That's an honest answer. They're not worth more, because they're worth is what I'm offering to pay you. So
he did say, "Hey, contact me."
That's a issue with me. You hit on a hot button issue with Mike.
No, right on. I'm with it. It's worth whatever somebody will pay, right?
You knew that. Yeah, you hit it.
And he was willing to pay $1,000, and I probably could have said yes. And you know me, I'm having trouble. I really am having trouble with it. So I thought, well, I'll leave it out there all weekend. I didn't hear from anybody else along those lines.
This was just Facebook, right? This was not Facebook. eBay. This was not Craigslist. This was just
Facebook within 20 miles.
Pretty good response on Facebook.
Yeah. No, pretty good.
And Facebook is so local. It does not extend out to anyone past. I think, what does it do? Like the average is 10 miles?
I think it's 20 miles. I think I said it at 20. 20.
That's a pretty good response.
20 radius for me. So that covers all of Omaha, all of Council Bluffs, all the way down to Plattsmouth.
Right.
So, Mike, I still don't know if I'm ready, to be honest. I got them turned off. I'm kind of going to watch the market and see what happens. I think if we do get a turn and the market moves again, might be worth it to turn them back on.
Yep.
And for now, I'm going to let it sit. I actually thought I'd put them in a position to be able to use them as video cards. Like, it's a really nice, a 1060 is a really nice card to have in your PC to use.
Especially for guys like you and me who aren't like hardcore gamers. We want to be able to watch video and occasionally play the video game, but we don't care about being able to play in ultra high res graphics, right? Like, that's great for someone like you and I. So there's where you said, okay, a gamer wanting to build a PC, but not like, I don't need to play it ultra graphics. I just want to be able to play video games on my PC. A 1060 is a great card.
So I'm not, this is the point. Like, I still am kind of thinking like, man, if this market makes another run, and I think it could, like, I think we could see another alt run, another Bitcoin run this year yet. So Mark is also saying the 1066 gig, these are actually 3 gigs. So not, they're probably, I'd be honest, Mike, they're probably honestly worth $200. Like,
well, for 4K editing, like Mark was saying, it doesn't matter really on the gigabyte size there.
Yeah. So it's,
well, I take that back. For 4K, you might.
You need a little bit more.
That. Yeah, you might. You're right.
But for what I do, I don't do any 4K editing. So man, those 3 gigs. And originally when I bought those cards,
1080 editing, it's blazes through it.
Oh yeah. When I bought the cards, I originally bought them to keep 2 of them to keep in my boxes as the next generation of video cards. So I had intended to keep 2 around anyway when we were done mining.
Yeah.
So I really should just sell 2 at some point, but I want to keep mining. So for now, I'm going to leave them on my box, leave them just as it is. I'm going to leave them off, kind of watch the market and see how that goes. I don't need to be running. It's actually much more pleasant to be down here without the fans running. I'm not going to lie. It's quiet. And you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. The other thing, I need to get my freaking taxes done. So I need to eliminate those distractions, because I'm always watching and, what's it doing? And so I'm going to leave them shut off until I get my taxes done. It's like, okay, They're off. I'm not going to watch them. I'm not going to obsess over them.
But at that point, they're not making you any money, and they could have made you $1,000.
True. Yeah.
I'm always here to play super devil's
I
advocate.
hate you, Mike Uyghur.
I know,
I hate you. I hate you. I should just.
No,
well,
you shouldn't.
not
Like, that's not my point. My point is just like either run them or don't and sell them for what they're worth today, or be willing to just hold off. And if you think the prices on those cards are going to go up,
no. I think there's going to be another run of mining that I can use them for.
I agree with that. But if you think that run is going to equate to whatever these cards could have been worth,
that's
today,
the crapshoot, my friend.
That's the crapshoot.
That's the crapshoot. Could I? Literally, they're probably worth $800. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable with your math. That is where it comes down to. Yeah. And I was comfortable with my math selling at $350 a card. You got to be comfortable with your math. If you're not, you will regret it forever. And if it goes back up, you won't. I have not regretted it. And if the price goes up, I'm like, you know what? I got out when I thought it was okay. So you just got to be okay with your math.
Yeah.
This is not a.
It's such a
sold at the wrong time. This is a you got to be comfortable with.
Such the right thing to do. Like it, as I look at it, it's just the right thing to do. And I'm having such a hard time selling them is the right thing to do right now. It is. It is just. It's like if I can't. I am. I grew up not having anything.
Yeah.
And so I have a hard time. I like to drive things till they're dust. I like to use things until they're broken, right? That's just the way I like to buy new and get all the value out of it that I can. That's kind of what I am.
But if you were like that, you would get the value out of selling it before it went down to zero.
But I don't see it that way. It's just a response. It's an actual response that my body
so
has.
It's more of a. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it best because you and I both have a very different way of looking at this.
Totally.
Both are completely in the right. Like that's the weird part about both the way. Like I look at it as what is the use case before that profit margin drops below zero. It's kind of like selling a used car, right? Like when do you sell it at the right point? Well, I got 10 more years out of use case out of it. Great. But do you value driving a newer car 8 years ago and selling it for the price that would have been, there's like these calculations you can make, right? Yeah. Like, what do you value? And so I think there's no wrong answer to this. And the way you're doing it is completely awesome. The way I did it was fine. And
yeah,
there were times I wish I could still be mining. So
right. No, and that's the thing.
There are times where I'm like, damn, I wish I could still be mining. Well, not recently. I'm really glad I sold.
No, you did the right.
But it
could have been different. It could have gone differently.
Totally, right? Dude. If this had gone the opposite way, you'd hear me crying.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
No, you would have made it happen some other way. Is what you would have done. You would have figured out a way.
I would have already rebought cards.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you would have paid a little bit more, but you would have done it. So, huge struggle for me. I don't know why. I should just sell them. Or sell two of them because that was kind of the deal I made with myself was like, hey, I'm going to keep.
They're still profitable, so just run them. Right?
They are still profitable. Yeah. I'm not losing money. Yeah, you're probably right.
Feels like I get totally where you're coming from. Like you see those numbers, and compared to where we were a few months ago, it's like, dang, man,
When we started doing this, and I was running these cards, I was happy with those numbers. Like I'm like,
I think anyone would have. We were killing it.
We are rocking it, right?
We were killing it.
And then the market went nuts, and all of a sudden the expectation changed from those cards were $1 each a day, right? To $3 a day in some cases, and you're like, dang, like a 3x daily, that's pretty sweet, right? Man, you get hooked on that dopamine crack of, looking at that going, man, I am freaking crushing it. Now that's all come back, to be honest with you, right? We produced all that, but then the market's taken it all back. Right. So,
if we're gonna label it, Hannah labels it like this, and Hannah's my wife for you guys who don't know, and she says, you don't like to be proven wrong, so you will get rid of a responsibility before it proves you wrong. Yeah. And actually, when I think about it, like I always like no, I'm willing to go way in the hole for my risk. Like I am so risk tolerant, and she's like, no, you're not. I'm like, you're right, I'm not. Like as soon as those cards became more of a risk than they were a value to me, and I'm like, I can still get value out of them, and these things don't prove me wrong to my wife, I got out. And those, but that doesn't allow me to reap the big risk, big reward value. So you think of someone like me, and if there was like someone like Jim, he is totally the guy who can reap the big reward value. So someone that's like a penny and it goes to 100, becomes a millionaire. That is Jim. Like Jim is going to become a millionaire because I was too risk intolerant and I sold before that value. So there's just different risk tolerance, and I am not very risk tolerant. And I thought I was before Hannah told me I wasn't. Literally, I was like, no, babe, I'm willing to like take this into the ground. She goes, no, you're not. You sold your graphics cards. And she's like, if you were willing, and I was like, stop making good points. Just stop talking. You're making good points. And she's like, you're not risk tolerant. You like making money. And if anything shows like it's not, and you still have the ability to make money, you will sell. And I said, dang, you're right. Like she nailed me. So it's just a difference of investing opinion. And there's nothing
it's so
wrong about either.
No, totally. And it's so hard right now. Like the guy who I was going to sell these to played this card on me. He said, so what are you mining on? I said, I'm mining Pool Hub.
Oh shit. He went there with you, and he
totally did. He's like, all right, well, way to go, jackass. Here's what you're making today. And he was right. Like he was right for that day, and I'm like, yeah, but we've done a lot better in the past. And, so
your risk is built on a lot of but ifs, but also those but ifs turn into big rewards if you're right.
Yeah.
So that's where this comes into play. Like you're willing to play the but if game, but your but ifs turn into big payoffs if you're right.
Yeah.
Like massive payoffs that we can't even fathom for the guys like me who are not very risk tolerant.
Well, and to be honest, like those cards have already paid for themselves. Like the investment that I have now,
so
it's
you
already
are
there.
in the right if you think about it. Like I agree with your investment strategy.
You just said I'm in the right. That's going to make it even harder to sell those cards.
Well, it's easy for me to say I already made my.
No, I know you did. You did well. Yeah, I think I'm going to hold them because I still want to mine with them. One of the things
I would have done if I would have been in this position right today.
Yeah, one of these things I want to talk about this, and I feel like once I get rid of the cards, I'm out. Like, I mean, I can still talk about Burst, but I'm out of the crypto side. I'm out of the GPU
you're not.
side.
Still watch the monies and talk about how good of a decision you made.
Yeah, I won't though. Like, no, I need to be in the mining space.
Like me, you'll be like, oh, I made such a good decision. Come on, you gotta make me feel a little bit better that I'm not the only one that watches these prices and I'm like, I made it.
No, you're right, man. You're right. I should sell 2 of them. That's what I should do. That's what I should do, but I'm not gonna. So
I'm not gonna make because that's what it's gonna come down to. This is gonna turn around because Jim, what has it been the whole time? It's been like, well, you've sold, and then it's gonna come back, and Jim's gonna be like, I told you, you were right.
Let's just say it does come back, and we're back to $300 months. Right.
That's gonna be your win because I would have totally missed out on that.
But it would take me 3 months to generate that amount of money that I missed out on the selling opportunity.
So it's got to hold for 3 months. Yeah, no, that's why I sold because it's got that bet for me was that's where I was making the bet. I still think
you're right. I just having a hard time selling. Okay, so
this is so funny because we both think the other person's right and we both like have made opposite decisions. That's I'm like shit. I should have kept them, and you're like shit. I should have sold them, and then we're like.
That's so funny. We are trying to convince each other how right we are.
In our podcasting, we just like make each other feel better. Like, well, now you're making me. I feel better.
Yikes. Yeah. One of the things I've really enjoyed though is there's a podcast, a guy I've been listening to, Carter Thomas. And I don't know if I've said this on this podcast or not, but he has a podcast called Coin Mastery. And if you just Google Coin Mastery and catch him on YouTube. Hold on before I finish that. Mark says, are you still plugged in, Mike?
Yes.
Or did you unplug? Mark Robson says I should sell 2 cards to you and then we'd both be happy.
Wow, Mark, that is the way to play this podcasting game. That's a win, my friend. Good job.
You win it. He's
talking about selling to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm
not buying.
Carter Thomas, Coin Mastery. Probably he has taught me a ton about being in this market and surviving it by not necessarily playing long all the time or not necessarily playing short all the time. But
real quick, I just made a realization that this is who I thought you were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. I wasn't listening to the name you were saying. I was thinking of who you were talking about all the time.
Oh.
So when you were talking, who were you talking about at the beginning?
Carter at the beginning.
You were talking about one of the main guys who had a YouTube video about cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Not Carter Thomas.
Oh.
You were talking about one of oh geez. Sorry, I totally ruined your flow. But you were talking about someone else at the beginning of the show. Okay. And I said, yes, I've listened to the first. And I thought you were talking about a new video from this guy.
Oh, no, I was talking about John Oliver.
John Oliver. And I was just in the vibe of Carter Thomas.
Yeah. Now John Oliver, the comedian. You know who I'm talking. Yeah.
I totally.
Okay.
One of those where you come back, you're like, oh, of course. I'm just in the vibe of you saying this guy on YouTube talks about cryptocurrency. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
No. Carter.
John Oliver, I have heard zero of. Carter Thomas, I have heard a lot of, but his newest one I have not listened to the full.
Oh, okay. So you're listening to him as well.
Yes.
So good. Yeah, super reasonable guy. I just think he's more philosophical than he is anything else. Like he covers the charts. He talks through.
That's right. Like if you're going to be in this industry, you need to stay balanced. He helps you with that mindset.
Yeah. I think he's super reasonable. I really appreciate his take on this. And yet he's in it for the money. I mean, he's in it to make some money off this, but it's more than just crank, or more than just buy, sell. He is definitely for me anyways, bring some real reasonableness to it. So if you're listening and you need a podcast to listen to on crypto, there's a lot of crazy ones out there. A lot of crazy ones out there. Carter Thomas, pretty reasonable. He's got 105,000 subscribers or something like that now. And he's actually did a cameo on that John Oliver video. John Oliver brings him up. Yeah, he brings a screen up. And he's like, there's some experts who will tell you. And they have 4 screens of YouTubers, and he's one of them. So, God, wouldn't that be sweet?
I have not watched a single second of the John Oliver one. So I'm going to correct what I said earlier. I was just in a completely different mindset.
Well, grab it from the show notes and head out there when you get a second to watch. It's super funny. F-bombs, serious F-bombs being dropped. So it's not safe.
I love the F-bomb. Yeah. Usually what I drop when I'm not on the public show.
You're not on the podcast?
Yeah. We were at a work event before this, and they're like, you can be okay tonight to not drop some. I was like, I'll be good. I'll be good.
Nicely done. Yeah. Well, anything else, Mike, on your side, on the crypto side?
No, not at all. I think we're going to wait and talk about the backup. So I'm trying to think of the things we do. Other than that, on the crypto side, I am the exact same as I was 2 weeks ago, doing the burst hardcore 39 terabytes. If I wasn't up to 39 at that point, I am now. I think last time they were finishing plotting. So up to 39. And I have hit a block looking at my track record on the 12th, the 9th, the 1st, the 28th of February, 21st of February, 14th. So in February, it was every week, right? We had the 14th, we had the 21st, we had the 28th. It was exactly 7 days in February. We were hitting a block. We look at March, and we went from hitting. So as soon as I had that 39 on board, we went from hitting on the 28th, which is the last day of February, to the 1st of March, the 9th, and the 12th. We are hitting much more often. Like we're hitting at least every 7 days, if not every 3 days.
See, that's crazy. Because I hit on the I hit on the 3rd twice.
We're talking about
crazy.
March.
Yeah, March. February 3rd. No, February 3rd. I hit twice on the same day, and then I didn't hit again until February 17th, and then I hit again on the 19th, and then nothing till the 3rd of March. So 17th.
There had to be something wrong, right?
19th till the 3rd, nothing.
That's weird.
Yeah, nothing. And then I hit 3rd and 7th, and then of course I've been monkeying around with this box, and so I'm sure I've missed some things in there. But no, I'm not hitting like you are.
Was down for the last 5 hours. I would have known until I checked in on it. So
yeah.
Mark does say that the barbecue show is coming up.
It is.
Something to mention. We have a barbecue show coming up with Mark.
Mark and Mike.
Me. Anyone else?
Mike. So you and Mike Howard.
Great.
Mike,
and Mike.
Mike, and Mike. 3 weeks from now.
I have some fun stuff coming for that show because I have been in winter mode for barbecuing, so I've had my winter jacket on my smoker. I've had some new wireless thermometers on there. So I've been having a blast with that.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for spring so I could take the cover off. I hate the cover. It messes with my times. I don't know my times. So
yeah.
Be good.
So you and me next week. Edward is coming back. We get an update on the market, what he's thinking. And
Next week or the week after?
No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, he's coming back on. Full crypto show, then the barbecue show, then you and me, then Aaron Lawrence is coming back, and that gets us into mid-April. So looking good. Looking good. Gentlemen, if you're out there, and ladies, no ladies tonight. Any final questions? I'm going to actually cut you guys loose on the live show if you're listening on the Patreon side. Again, thanks for coming out and join us. Seriously, if you're listening to this and you have any questions around Burst or you want to get help get going, let me know. I'm enjoying the Burst side of things. I just hit a 13-hour block. It won't do anything for me because I'm on solo, but I do kind of miss the pools. I'm not gonna lie. Being out of the pools for the last 5 days.
Oh, I don't miss it. I get the full 1100 when I hit a block. That's that's more than double what I was hitting before. So
well, that's true. I did hit an 800. I mean, it was in the 80-20 pool, so I was getting 80% of it. Well, not that's not true either. The 80% is divided up among everybody that hit the 24-hour.
But so then how long does it take you to make up that extra 300? It's like, well, I could have probably hit another block before I would have made up the 300.
Well, 300 in that.
And even if you hit that 300, that would have gotten you back up to what you should have hit that first day.
Yeah,
so like
I was doing 50 a day. So in 6 days to make up that 300 or 400, but it wasn't always.
And that would have gotten you back to even.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's what would you have hit? Yeah, I mean just the math, right? But your math is wonky, man. I don't know what is going on with your thing.
Well, that's the weird thing, right?
It's weird.
You just don't know. You could be in a sweet spot where you're hitting now, and then you could go dry.
True. Totally true. Right? I'm not saying that mine is gonna last.
And when I say dry, I mean like casino, like Keno dry.
Yeah, dry.
Keno.
Like things I can't say on live podcasting dry.
Mark's got 2 classes coming up, 2 barbecue classes. Sweet. We'll take advantage of those. Okay, we're going to let you guys go. I need to chat with Mike Uyghur for a few minutes, so we're going to let you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight, gentlemen, and we will see you back here next week with an update on how we're doing backups. We'll see you guys.